gonna be like I'm gonna invite those people to come do it. They have eagles and like dogs and things walking in, and the guys were like 7 foot tall. I didn't even Kazakhs were that tall.
Kazakhs. Those are the warrior Kazakhs.
My God.
All right, let's go. Bismillah.
Let's go.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mamluks. My name is Sim. Welcome, everyone. Sheikh, make sure to tell the listeners to hit the old like button and subscribe if they haven't done so already.
Like button, brothers and sisters. Subscribe.
That's it?
That's it.
That was the most unpassionate
You're
request.
a great salesmanship.
Yeah, I know. Hey, guys, subscribe.
Yeah. Friends, what was I going to say? Let's just give them Eid Mubarak. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak.
We haven't had a chance to say Eid Mubarak to our listeners.
Yeah. Lucky for me, I sent them my Eid Mubarak tweet, though.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Eid Mubarak, everyone.
I was so busy this Eid, I couldn't even do that. Like, I just totally forgot about Twitter for a while. Social media in general.
I was sick on Eid, bro.
Oh, you were? You couldn't go?
Day before, day of Eid, and day after, 2 days after, basically.
COVID?
I thought it was more like that influenza B thing, you know?
I was sick for the past few days.
Sneezing.
We would have been back way sooner, but I got sick.
Yeah. Your voice still sounds a little changed.
Yeah. I think it's COVID, though, but...
Were you going to get yourself checked?
I did get myself... It came out negative.
Okay.
But
good.
my...
Just leave it at that, bro.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
But how many times did you
Forget
test
about the
then?
butts after that.
Huh?
How many times did you test?
I went to the doctor's office and I got
Yeah,
checked.
but then was it like a day after you started feeling sick or a couple that could make the difference, the incubation period?
Oh, yeah.
No, it was a couple days into being sick.
Good.
Okay. So you should just get a bunch of those rapid tests in your house. That's what I do. I take it because...
What are you going to do? I mean, bro, you're just going to get confirmation that you had COVID?
It's kind of nice, right? Like, I'm COVID positive. Yes.
I mean, and we're hanging out with you right now.
Right. Well, I mean, I thought like you have to be like full on like in COVID mode for
you're not full on. Yeah, you're done. You're on your way.
I think the first
this
5
your voice
days
sounds very different.
Well, there's a lingering cough, you know, just like but it sounds like a loogie cough, you know, with the
a loogie cough.
No, with the mucus.
Oh,
with this mucus spray cough.
Yeah. Well, I think they say the viral shedding is like 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
From when you get down.
After 5 days, yeah.
So you're shedding.
But anyways, man.
Anyway, while we're in shed mode, all Asir Portugali died, bro. OJ.
Oh, Asir Portugali. That's the good one. Orange
That's a good one. I didn't even realize
Portugali orange juice. See, I told you, bro. He's on it.
Yeah.
He's on it.
All right. You know, that was a big part. It kind of hit me.
I thought it was COVID that got him, but it wasn't.
No, he just died. But listen,
no, didn't he? Wasn't he dealing with some cancer?
Yeah. But when I thought about OJ, I mean, obviously the first thing I hear is, you know, my head is, if it don't fit, you got to quit, right? Like the whole thing, Johnny. The whole thing.
The funny thing was that the glove did actually fit.
Yeah, he's like, and he's going like this. He's like, wait a minute, it fits. So what are you talking about? Just the bottom part didn't get on there all the way, but everything else fit like his hand. But anyways,
like he really didn't do it. So.
My thing was that it was a big part of the 90s. I remember I was in high school.
It was a highlight of the 90s.
And I was in Spanish 2 class, and some kid was listening on the radio, and we're listening on the radio. He had it back in the days in the hoodie. You know, remember you could slide in your headset, those old school Koss cheap headsets, right? And you would just put your hand like this and you could listen to the radio. We had those pocket radios, right? So my boy's listening to this thing because the verdict was going to happen. It was in the afternoon on lunchtime. And my Spanish 2 teachers like, you know, donde está, talking all this stuff, right? And all of a sudden the verdict comes out and he jumps and goes, OJ's free. And he's a black guy. He goes, man, it's free. He's free. He's banging on the door.
No, he's saying the N-word?
Yeah.
Do you remember what type of
hold on.
wild people
So
are?
he's running on the hallway. I'm going behind him. I'm like, oh, OJ's free. He's banging on all the lockers, all the rooms, everywhere. And our school just erupted. Like, OJ's free. All the men were happy.
Yeah,
it was weird.
In the city.
But it was like this thing that really was like captivated American audience, not only because of the trial, but even the events, because that was the first time that we as a nation witnessed collectively like a chase in LA, like a police chase.
Yeah.
Right? Like it became like sensational news, like, oh, police chase in LA,
No,
right?
because
With the former football player too, yeah.
that police chase interrupted the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Remember the Bulls were put in the NBA Final with Michael Jordan?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that chase interrupted the game. Everyone was watching. The whole world was watching. It was
Bronco.
like Michael Jordan.
That was 91.
For you young kids out there,
Yeah.
man, Michael Jordan, whatever you see with LeBron or Kobe, he was far beyond that.
Yeah.
He electrified the world. Everyone was watching. You didn't even have to know how to play basketball, and you were watching.
Yeah.
That's how electric he was.
Like
and,
Fobs, who liked cricket, used to love basketball because of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. You see like people getting upset about the Bulls now for the past 20 years. They just got eliminated or something. They couldn't go to the playoffs. And I just saw like all these people getting so upset. Oh, the Bulls didn't make it. I'm like, I didn't watch the Bulls for the past 20 years, man. Anyway, what was I going to say?
About the
Bronco.
they interrupted the
The Broncos,
yeah.
right?
No,
the Bronco game, the
car, the
Ford,
chase. Yeah.
Bronco.
Because of him, yeah.
Yeah, and it interrupted the whole momentum of the game, and like it completely shifted the attention off of the finals. And
Do you know that was actually the birth time of 24-hour news television?
Right.
Because they didn't have anything else to cover, so they were covering like this, and that's how CNN got to start.
Yeah.
It was like this first 24-hour news broadcast,
Yeah.
and they were it was headline news. That was the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And they were the first ones to actually cover like this police chase because it was sensational news.
Yeah.
And then it revolutionized the way that other news networks covered these things.
Just news in general was being presented like
Yeah.
in this entertainment style.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was a big part of our childhood. So when I heard about that, I got all these flashbacks and think about that. Without Johnny Cochran and Kardashian, the Kardashians may never come into existence. Like it's the snowball effect, right?
Right.
Like it's just they
Yeah,
got notoriety
wow.
from all of that, right? So
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was a crazy. It's interesting how that's a turning point. But people are really bored too, man. They needed something to be distracted with. The other thing is, man, when if you want to talk about how certain issues show some type of polarity between the people, it was such a black and white thing, like black versus white thing. What ended up happening with O.J. Simpson and his murder trial, right? And that's what actually shocked me the most. I was like, why is it's just something I noticed. Why is everyone making this into a whole race thing, you know? Even though it's something that happened by osmosis. I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah.
It just happened culturally. And you realize how divided people are, you know?
Yeah. Chef, did you try some of the oud over there sitting right next to you?
I did. I had a little dab
We
of
had
everything.
Abu Oud come by.
I know. That was a great podcast,
No,
bro.
you
That was
liked
a
it?
fun podcast to watch, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Ramadan, I realized like I could make my own oud and like a nice like oud that attracts the opposite sex, you know. And I was thinking about a name for it.
Is that something you're working on?
Yeah, I'm thinking about like making a very like sensual oud for men, like,
Really?
and branding it under Shawwal days, calling it the Shawwal days. You know,
Shawwal days.
Shawwal days, because right before Shawwal is Ramadan.
Yeah.
So Ramadan days are forbidden. Shawwal days are good to go.
Forgiven. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shawwal days.
Shawwal days. The wait is over.
The way it is. Or Shawwal nights.
Shawwal nights.
Yeah.
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 That's not bad. Yeah. Well, how about just name it Zina?
What? Why would you do that?
Because it's like, the temptation, right?
Halal zina.
No, it's temptation towards your husband or wife.
Or call it fitna.
Halal, ya akhi.
Like fitna.
No, there's a group that might try to claim that.
Oh, yeah. They might sue you for like copyright infringement.
We're fitna.
What's that thing Arabs always say? Aib.
Abe. Yeah.
How about Aib for men?
Abe for men. That's wrong. That's wrong.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, dude. But as we move along, bro, like there's a lot of things that are concerning, obviously. Like I was telling you guys before the show, there's a lot of changes that happen in Ramadan. It's almost like I'm kind of glad I actually wanted to do like a podcast or two during the month of Ramadan. Ramadan was busy, but there's a lot of.
So Amir, real quickly, since we're talking about that, right? Is there a significance of having that double eclipse about end of times or anything like that? Somebody was mentioning something about like eclipses, like about the end of time. There may be a minor sign about a solar and lunar eclipse.
Oh, in Ramadan, right?
Yeah.
I heard about that.
I don't know. Allahu Alam.
Wallahu alam. You're gonna give us a wallahu alam right now?
No, I don't know.
Sheikh,
Just because people say it, I never looked into it.
Why are you even useful to us, man?
I give you guys good friendship.
Let's demote him. Is there demotion?
Isn't there a button right there?
Yeah, can we just call we're not gonna call him Sheikh, we'll call him Talib al-Ilm now.
Yeah, you should.
Just to say no more Sheikh title.
Sidi.
Yeah,
Sidi.
Sidi is grandmother.
No. Ustad.
Ustad.
You've been demoted to Ustad.
Dude, so
Yeah,
check
you're
this out.
Ustad.
No, this Ramadan, bro, there's I don't know if you guys notice as the older you get, there's more like futuhat, more things that you see like more clear during Ramadan. And it just seemed like like just fast forwarding.
Wait, are you still on the eclipse?
Not just about I'm talking about everything that happened during Ramadan.
Can you go into
politically, the
specifics?
eclipse, the sign. I mean, there's so many signs that happen, but it just happens to be that Allah just gave us a sign, almost like a cherry on top at the end of Ramadan type thing, right? It's like this is I'm still aware of everything. I'm watching. Don't think that Allah didn't have to give us that sign, but He did, right? And Allah doesn't have to give us any sign.
Mean?
Yeah, but on top of everything, all the other signs, but on top of that, just the eclipse, the whole everything changed. But the Muslims, like everyone's out observing, but the Muslims are in the masajid praying, right?
Yeah,
everyone's out trying to see it. And
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with us. Like, I know a lot of people made a big deal out of the eclipse. I mean, I peeked at it, but I mean, to be honest, like for me, like it was like, yo, this is Ramadan, and that stuff doesn't matter to me. Like we're in the final days. It was almost like you had to pick. Are you going to do what everybody else is doing and just be in awe of this thing that happens once every, whatever, 50 or 25 years, whatever, right? Or are you going to take advantage of the last ending days of Ramadan?
Yeah.
Right? And like you have to make that decision. What's more important here?
But what I'm saying is what Allah did for us, He even showed us some amazing signs, even in the last 10 days of Ramadan, to add to the Ramadan, to give you that incentive at Dhuhr time to go to the masjid when you wouldn't be in pray that long prayer, right? So it was just too many favors happening at once that Allah shows us, and when He shows us His favors, you just open your eyes a little bit, and then you see what's happening around the world, and you know that it sucks, it's horrible, but Allah's responsible for everything. Allah's in charge of everything. Everything happens with Allah's permission. So it gives us, in what Ramadan actually is supposed to do, is take our tawakkul away from people and the means that people create, and bring a tawakkul back to Allah by obviously taking those things away from us, which we think are very important, food, drink, and all that good stuff. And Allah just reminded us that He's the creator of the world, and He could change the positioning of the sun and the moon whenever He wants. And there's always going to be Allah, and everything else is going to fall. Now,
the amazing part, like you consider the fact that the sun and the moon are the same size on our, like they appear the same size on our planet, which is different from any other planet, where the sun seems small on the bigger planets like Neptune, Jupiter, and stuff. The sun seems like very small, and their moons look much bigger. They have eclipses in their things, but it's not the same type of eclipse. Noticeable, right? We have like the perfect eclipse because the sun and the moon are the same size from our perspective, right. Because the sun is 400 times farther away from the moon,
from the Earth than the moon is.
And it's 400 times bigger than the moon.
But it lines up
right
in the universe.
So it appears the same size.
So from our perspective, they are the same size because the moon is closer, and the sun being as far as it is, it overlaps perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
so it's a phenomenon that's
phenomenon
unique to Earth.
Yeah.
And like if you Google it or anything, they're like, it's a cosmic coincidence. Oh, really? A strange coincidence. I wonder how.
I think the point that Sim is trying to make is that a lot of these people who believe in creation, or evolution and all these things, they try to make it sound like that these are just a series of coincidences, right?
Yep.
But we're finding signs that the Earth is truly unique in where human life can be, what position we are in the universe, how our sun and moon are interact with each other, our balance, our rotation. Everything is, I mean, out of all the planets that we've seen in galaxies, Earth has to be the most suitable for human beings.
Yeah.
And there are other Earths that are like planets that are like Earth, but that for whatever reasons they're not as suitable for living as human beings on this Earth.
If the Earth was a few inches closer, we're not talking about miles or anything.
Yeah.
Just a few inches closer to the sun,
And
would
its
be burnt
axis,
up into a cinder
Radiation
block.
would burn us. Right. Yeah.
No, but
insane.
it's insane. But look, it's so beautiful how the weakest and the most delicate in the entire solar system is the most inhabitable for the most powerful beings, for the best of beings.
Yeah.
Right? It's actually the most delicate amongst all of them. It's not a big ball of gas just is constantly burning. It's this thing that has this balance. It's got to have sun in a certain place. There's things that freeze on it. You got to be able to contain temperature. You got to be able to keep people there. You got to be able to make sure they're not sick. There's all these different microorganisms and everything
like even
occurring.
the water ocean levels rising a few inches makes a huge difference. A temperature variance of like 2 to 3 degrees makes a huge difference in the world. Like you're talking about, would plants be able to germinate on time? Would bees be able to pollinate on time? Right? That, migration patterns of birds and the stuff they take, right? Little things like that can change by a few degrees off. Or a difference in water, or if there's a drought someplace. And Allah keeps everything in rotation, everything the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
And when something doesn't happen, Allah compensates in a different way for it to happen.
So that's why, look, the verse is so simple, but that's why Allah says, "Inna kulla shay'in khalaqnahu biqadr." Everything we created with a balance, right? And if that balance, you try to mess with it, you try to, toggle with it a little bit, you're gonna try your best. You're gonna mess things up. But if you keep things the way they are, and you worship Allah the way He's supposed to be worshipped, that's it. That's all Allah's asking from us. Look at the balance that I created. Look how perfect it is, and you're gonna find me. That's it.
Somebody mentioned something as well. The follow-up was like there was an earthquake in New Jersey. It felt like in New York, right? I'm sure there's fault lines, but this is something we never really hear about, right? But it reminds me as well, too. Like, we take the earth that we walk on. Like, we always say, oh, the earth is secure. It's secure,
Stable,
right?
yeah.
It's stable, right? And we don't ever think that the earth is going to swallow you or it's going to move. We build our homes on it. We build our roads on it. We find, okay, if you're running around, like if you're somewhere high.
We trust it too much.
Yeah, you come on the ground and you're like, oh, I'm safe. I'm on the ground, right? And then Allah reminds you, right, that He placed the mountains as like pegs to secure the earth, right? But what does that mean? Obviously, that means we know it formed from tectonic movements, right? And then it smashed together and the mountains were formed. But Allah put that there to stop that movement. And had those things not been there, this would be a very shaky ground for us to be on. Yeah. We'd be constantly moving. We take it for granted. But all that can happen just by one shift in the ground, a little movement between these plates. And all of that security you thought you had is out the window. And even that small shift, like, for example, what they were saying in Taiwan, right? The potential for a tsunami to come, right? To cause disastrous things. We saw what a little tsunami did in Japan.
But they're saying, again, there may be a tsunami?
Well, I'm just saying, whenever there's an earthquake, like an island, they always think that, okay, well, there's an after effect, right? And it's a small island, so that can cause effects in the ocean, right? And a tsunami could happen, and that could cause tidal waves, right? That would, what we see in Fukushima and all this stuff, right? We could see that, right? But Allah keeps everything in balance. Allah reinforces the earth. He makes it a place for you to dwell. He rolled it out, made it open for you to live on and to graze on, to walk on, to build on, right? You feel safety in it. And Allah makes you feel safe. It's not because you did something. Allah made the balance to make you feel safe. And if He takes away even one small thing from that balance, He can turn your entire life upside down.
Yeah. Like the floods, I think
we're like... You guys see the footage from the floods? I know the Dubai government or the UAE government was trying to say, like, hey, if you like put out a memorandum saying that you can't be sharing videos of the flood with the media and stuff.
Is that embarrassing? I didn't know about that part.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why. It's because there's a couple things here. First of all, Dubai and those areas built as rapidly as they were. The sanitation and
I'm sorry.
there you go. Show now. This is Dubai Airport. There's no way a plane's taking off in that. And you know what?
Wow.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
What the? All right.
So
go ahead.
just to understand why it's happening as well, so along with the flood, but it's a well-known secret that they haven't designed sanitation in Dubai well. As magnificent as these projects are, these ginormous buildings, they did not put the effort into even how they're going to remove waste. Like right now, I think you can Google it, but there's tons of waste that has to be removed from Burj Al Khalifa every day because they don't have proper plumbing. Like they have to literally empty septic tanks. There's no like tie into sanitation.
Underground flooding.
I think isn't the whole Khalij kind of like that? Saudi, Kuwait, don't they all have the same problem?
I mean, some places are, some no. A lot of places still have septic tanks. But you would think a city with this modern and this big, it has to have a developed sanitation. They did not plan for that, including water like this, right? They did not have enough storm drains, all the stuff, right? And so whenever a flood happens,
I don't think you could even do that within a desert climate, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Probably could, but it's a lot more work. You have to. I mean, you wouldn't be able to build roads as quickly as you did, right? Because you have to do a lot of infrastructure work, right? Like huge tunnel, a network of tunnels. You have to move it somewhere, create like retention ponds and lakes and all that. I mean, it's not easy. A road could just be built flat over the desert and that's it, right? You're good to go. But if you have to build all this, well, where do you connect the drain pipes to? Where do you put it to? Right? Where do you divert this? How do you connect it into everything else? Right? It's a whole network you have to build.
Yeah.
If you don't have one already, you can't tie it into a drain network, right?
Yeah.
So where do you start with this? If they have to do that first, you're talking about 20, 30 year project, right? To bring all this draining into one, sanitation, reclamation, all the stuff, right? And they don't have that. And so on top of that, plus the floods that are happening, it just exacerbates the whole thing. But one thing that I found interesting was among these videos, there were reports that came out that people were stuck in I think Dubai airport. And they're saying, we're getting worried because now it's been 3-4 days and we're running out of food. Like we don't have any food. And I'm thinking like, subhanallah, like when you ignore what's happening in Gaza and people are starving, it's like almost like Allah is giving you a taste of what they're going through.
That's what you meant by that.
Yeah, because it's hard not to think that this is not a sign, especially when you're people who have aided in the facilitation of harm against Muslims, and then on top of that, you inaugurate like a filthy mushrik temple in your place, in the land that's supposed to be free of shirk, where the devil is no longer supposed to bring shirk anymore. Some people consider this to be part of the Jazeera, right? Like they extend it. And you not only do you allow the mushrik, but you celebrate with it. You meet him, you take part in their ceremonies.
And tell them that they're peaceful and they're loving and everything.
How do you expect azab not to come to you? And by the way, these are the same people, Modi, who are pressing your brothers in their homeland, right? In India, right? And so I'm not saying it is, but I can't help but think that this has to be...
You wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, what are the odds of this happening, right? Like,
I mean, there people are saying that it was a cloud seeding that led, or at least contributed partly to this type of an event, but cloud seeding alone is not does not have the capability of generating this type of.
Bro, I lived in Dubai.
Yeah.
I've been through.
That's what I was talking
I've been
about. Yeah, that's
through
why.
cold
Messing with the
seasons. I've been
balance.
through. It does not rain like this in Dubai. This is unheard of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no.
what I was talking about, messing with the balance. Like with cloud seeding, you can call it whatever you want, using
Yeah.
technology or whatever. You're thinking that you're going to be able to control what you want the way you want it.
Yeah.
And it's Allah showing you some great signs right now. Wallahu alam if it's an adab. But He definitely showed you from among His greatest signs that they said a year worth of rainfall all rained in one day, right?
Yeah.
And plus that whole thing with Modi and the whole Hindu temple and all that. I mean, horrible, despicable, disgusting stuff. Having a hand in facilitating what's happening in Gaza. But the part that is crazy is when people are in the Dubai airport. People love and rant and rave about the airport where they're saying we're running out of food. That's insane.
Well, I mean, it's natural, right? I mean, if you've been stuck for somewhere for 3 days, how much food are you going to?
But you wouldn't expect something like that to happen in Dubai. People saying we're running out of food.
You wouldn't expect even this entire situation to happen.
Exactly,
In Dubai,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like they go there for their vacation and they're so happy, and the Israelis were boasting, "Aha! Look, you know what? They're helping out. The Arabs are turning on you." While it looks like that, you know what? Allah is reminding them that you can keep messing around, and all that you built, is reminding them that I can take this away like this. This safety that you have. This this luxury that you have, it's all from Allah.
Yeah.
You can go back to being camel herders in a day,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Literally what Allah wants, and you can have nothing.
But why did they not? I'm sorry. to jump to
Remember-
this. Why did they not want the people to share this on social media?
It's embarrassing. It hurts
Yeah,
tourism.
okay, that's what I thought.
It
That's
hurts
what I figured.
tourism, right?
Exactly.
It's an embarrassment because Dubai is supposed to be like its architectural feat, right? Everything
Yeah.
is great about it. It's
You're ruining
fundamental.
our reputation.
We're tech city. We're modern. We're doing this. We have all that, and yet you don't have drain systems.
And you're ruining our reputation. That's what it comes down to.
And that really endangers people. Floods like this. What happens if someone needs ambulatory services? You can't move through that.
That's true.
How do you get through there?
No, bro. You know what was striking to see during the floods? I saw these Indians who are performing services for wealthy people to cross the streets during the flood. So,
Really?
so they got these like little what's those lifts called? You know, whenever we're lifting something heavy, it's
Dolly.
Yeah, dolly.
Yeah.
So he's putting like wealthy people on the dolly, and he's crossing them street. So while he's getting wet, they give him like a 1 real or whatever,
Dirham, yeah.
dirham or whatever, and he goes back.
Wow.
In his, all
Hey,
wet
I
and
appreciate the hustle, man.
but it was just like, wow, like you're seeing this dichotomy of like
Yeah.
the super rich of Dubai being carried around in dollies across the street, and it was just
Clash of
mind-blowing.
classes, brother. Clash of classes.
Yeah, it also reminded me of because the skies were so dark, right?
Yeah.
And there's that one hadith where the prophet like shivered or something. I don't want to be wrong about this, so correct me, please. But the prophet was reminded that when I see a dark cloud, I think about the punishments that
Khan,
the
maybe,
previous generations and civilizations experienced.
Yeah.
You remember that hadith?
Yeah. So look, but there's one really, really important
Yeah.
thing here too, is Rasulullah when he says that he's worried and he's scared, that's not just for show, right? We have to to understand the hadith. You have to understand the bravery of Rasulullah and him withstanding the wahi and verses being revealed to him, right? Like imagine that Allah is saying if the Quran was revealed to a mountain, the mountain would crumble. But how is it that Rasulullah's heart and his body and his soul can accept this wahi without completely crumbling, right? And imagine him just talking about like dark skies and thunder and stuff, being actually concerned and worried of azab, right? So even Rasulullah, when he's saying that, he's not like, oh, I'm just going to say this just to teach a lesson, but it's some like bending the truth. No, he himself, even though he's a messenger of Allah, still feared about these things, and he was still scared about these things, right? And the reason why the next part is why those things are shown is to actually really, really extrapolate a lesson from when these things happen, right? And that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah,
We're trying to figure out the lessons that are here. And Rasulullah, I was actually very keen on this, and that's the
Here
way
it is.
he teaches us.
Aisha radiallahu anha reported, I never saw Allah's messenger laugh to such an extent that I could see the vulva, whereas he used to smile only, and when he saw dark clouds or wind, the sign or fear the sign of fear were depicted on his face. I hate this translation. I said, Messenger of Allah, I find people being happy when they face the dark cloud in the hope that it would bring rain, but I find that when you see the cloud, there is an anxiety on your face. He said, Aisha, I'm afraid that there may be a calamity in it, for a people was afflicted with wind. When the people saw the calamity, they said, it is a cloud which would give us rain. So people were expecting rain when it was actually the punishment of Allah coming, and that's why he would receive or feel anxiety when
we think about Nuh, the flood, Ad wa Thamud, like the winds that come, right? These are things. And also you have to remember, the prophet sees what you don't see and hears what you don't hear.
Yeah.
Right? And we knew that from when he made Isra wal Miraj, right? They used to ask him, what does it look like? He said, listen, I hear what you don't hear and I see what you don't see. And so he can foresee certain things. Like, hey, maybe when he sees the malaika bringing these clouds, right, or moving these things, he thinks, is it adab or is it rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? You don't know, right? Maybe Allah is bringing the earth back to life, or maybe he's ending the life, right? The very thing which Allah gives you life from, he can take your life with. Right, the same water that comes down can feed you or it can drown you. Right, you see. I mean, imagine the cloud that came over Fir'aun. What would have happened then? Or the cloud that came over the people of Nuh. What would happen then? Or Ad wa Thamud, when the winds came and blew them out. What happened then? Or maybe the cloud when Abraha was coming over and the birds came and it darkened. Or the locust with Musa alayhi salam. Like, all these things, right? This is a sign. Allah can use these signs to either try you, test you, or he can
or the cloud that just used to hover above Rasulullah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a different type of cloud, brother.
This is what I'm saying, right? Like it could be a rahmah or it could be adab. You don't know. Yeah. And so and I think it's important to know. And but I think the sad part is that we are in a condition as an ummah where we don't know whether something is a trial, a fitna, or adab. We don't know. Like even now, looking, I'm just speculating, right? Is this a test for the rulers of Dubai or people over there? Or is Allah giving them a little bit of adab right now to remind them?
Yeah. It can be both, wallahu alam, man. But the whole world knows about it. And the whole world is seeing the fragileness of all of this. Like when Allah tells us in Surah Al-Ankabut that those who take the awliya other than Allah, they're building a house that's more fragile than the house of a spider, which is a spider web. It's intricate. It looks beautiful from the outside.
But one blow.
It's miraculous. And all breaks, bro. Everything.
And that same web can save the life of the Prophet.
Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. There's levels to this, brother. There's levels to this, brother.
Yeah. But this is why it's important, because you have to be almost astute and recognize Allah is. We don't believe in coincidences and chance. Allah, everything is qadr. Everything that's happening around you is qadr. When the Palestinians are suffering today and they're dying, whether it's adab, whether it's a fitna, whether it's a rahmah for them, it's qadr. It means something.
Yeah.
And it's related to you. Allah is not just saying this is just for the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Because Allah gave lessons and ibrah when it came to Bani Israel in the Quran. It's not just stories for happened to them and that's them. No, Allah is reminding.
We're still benefiting from those. Yes.
We learn from this, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you cannot be Allah talks about that, those who walk around the earth oblivious to what we've given, right? They're deaf, dumb, and blind. Like he mentioned this. That's what we're talking about. When you're deaf, dumb, and blind, you just keep moving on as if nothing is going to happen. You keep living as if you're never going to die. There's no accounting, nothing. You just ignore all these things and live no, don't worry, that's just
But that's what the Quran does. It makes you realize those people who are living like that too. Like if you look at what's happening with Israel. Just look at Israel for right now, right? The way they're conducting themselves, Muslims who have proper basira and understand the culture and the understanding of the Quran know that these people are so arrogant that they're destroying themselves and they don't even realize it, right? There's so many things that you can see from all of this. But one thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, this is something that's been, I need a little bit of clarity on this as far as Iran and Israel is concerned, right? The back and forth seems almost like a joke to most people, right? And people are starting to see it. It's like all the tricks that they used to pull before, you can't pull those anymore. This past 6 months changed everything. Yeah. So the claim that you're making, nobody actually believes it anymore, and the people who seem to be believing it just need to be mouthpieces in order to protect themselves and their people and their interests. But a majority of the world doesn't believe this crap anymore. But now, when I forget the name of that professor who was on Piers Morgan, and this is what he said. And it was a funny type of posturing. I just want your guys' take on it. He said the the bombs and the missiles that we sent only costed maybe I think he said $10,000, $100,000 each. And we outworked the missile defense system of Israel, which costs billions of dollars. And we sent over old drones, which took how many? I think he said 3 hours or 5 hours to get there.
9.
And we made an announcement, and we used some of our old technology against your newest technology. And you think that it was a success, and you think that we messed up, but in actuality, we just got rid of our old stuff that wasn't going to be used, and we made you use your defense systems and use your wear you guys out basically. How much truth do you think there is to that?
Oh, there's without a doubt a lot of truth to it. You definitely don't want to use your latest and greatest and show your hand and give up incredible levels of intelligence to your enemies, right? So without a doubt, he's telling the truth regarding that. The most expensive drones are around $20,000.
Like military drones?
Yeah, military drones.
Dang.
Now compare that to $200,000
Per
missile
Yeah.
that are taking down those drones, right? Those are the expensive drones, by the way. So imagine the cost that it maybe was like a $5,000 drone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just old drones that Iran had. Definitely, and what the Houthis are using as well.
And actually, a lot of these drones were probably first generation that didn't really test out well. That's why they say half of them didn't even fire off. And then the other half America took out.
Okay, but
But let me, I get what you're saying, right? So without a shadow of a doubt, it is posturing, right? What happened was Israel attacked an embassy in Syria, right?
yes, illegal.
Killing two generals.
Yeah, right.
Two
So
Iranian
Iran
generals.
has to respond now by the law of equal measure, right? They have to. But they got the clear from America. America's been warning Israel for a week. An imminent attack. They cleared it with the Americans.
They literally called, because remember back with Qasem Soleimani,
Just in 2020. Yeah.
Iran called Donald Trump, hey, we got to respond to you. You did this to our general, to our one of the most important military figures in our thing. We got to get back at you, or else we look weak.
Yep.
Right? Donald Trump is actually explaining this.
He said it. He said it. We knew
They
it was coming.
called him.
Everything all good.
And I got it. I understood it. I understood it. They have to respond, you know?
Right.
So they told us in advance that they're going to attack us, so we cleared our base.
Yeah. So
the damage was minimal.
just think about it, right? They have 9 hours to wait for the attack to happen.
That's crazy.
While it's moving, right? I mean, you're pretty much just watching a projectile, right? So you literally can have fireworks that do damage quicker than that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so obviously it meant that, and that's by design. It's not to show Iran's weakness. This is symbolic. Because Iran does have capabilities to use ICBMs. They can launch ballistic missiles from Iraq, which would get to Israel within 12 minutes. They can do that, right? They can certainly do that. They have that technology. I'm not saying they're a great army or the mightiest, but they certainly have better technology than they use right now. But what they did was that they showed Israel, number one, that we will respond. Even if America didn't approve it, they probably would have done something because they have to respond. Everyone knows that, right? But it's not something that's going to cause massive damage. A base out in the west,
Yeah.
a little bit of damage. Most of them blocked down. No personnel has died.
But that's what
Right.
my thing is.
Hold on.
They made that attack of something that was going to be on this base.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. So Israel says, oh, no, we have to attack. But Israel had a problem because why? America wants to show restraint. Why? Because they don't want to provocate another war while they're, first of all, in an election year, plus they have the Ukraine going on. Then they have a migrant crisis happening here. Then they have the Palestine-Israel issue going on.
Yeah.
And now it makes it look like the Biden administration is just losing entire control
Of everything.
of the Middle East, right? It's a bad look. And that means we also have to engage Iran then too, right? If Israel goes heavy-handed, Iran's not going to tolerate that, right? They're going to have to respond. It's a do or die moment for them, right? So America knows that they need to tell Israel to be calculated and show restraint. Otherwise, they're going to drag America into a war, just like America had to defend them against those, missiles that were coming in, right? So Israel launches these missiles that do hardly any damage. Like they land around. Iran is saying that they were able to shoot them down, and the explosions were from the ones they shot down, whatever. But I don't know of any casualties. I don't know of any of that. No major damage, right? And the irony is, you can find it in the language, even in talking about the attack. Iran saying, well, it looks like it didn't come from outside of Iran. It looks like it came from within Iran, right? And they make no mention of Israel, by the way. Why are they doing that? Is that just arrogance? No. They're trying to de-escalate. They're saying, we don't even want to blame Israel for this. And Israel's not even saying, yeah, we attacked Iran. They're not saying it. In the language, you understand that this is the high point of their conflict. It's going to... Because America doesn't want escalation beyond this. But they have to do it for the optics. So to answer your question, do I believe it's posturing? 100%. If anything continues beyond this, it'll be in the form of proxy. It won't be direct confrontation.
Yeah.
That's how I believe it.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you have to understand that Iran is not... I have to make this distinction clear, because there's a lot of Muslims who are desperate to find heroes in this conflict.
Exactly.
And there are very few. There's not none. There are some great people like the Houthis who are doing the best they can. There's South Africa, who's done some really important work by bringing this to the ICJ and stuff. But for the large part, there's no heroes in this stuff. There's at least on the nation state level, right? We have to know that Iran has its own motivations in the Middle East, and sometimes their sentiments or their policy aligns with Islamic sentiments, and they'll be very boastful and making sure that is why they're doing it, because there is this love for Islam, for protecting Al-Aqsa, but they have no justification, for example, for supporting Bashar al-Assad, who killed over 1 million Syrians.
Yeah.
And it was directly their bombs that assisted, and their soldiers on the ground who assisted Bashar from winning and crushing the Syrian rebellion. So we have to understand that Iran is not this amazing superpower or any kind of power that is the upholder of Islamic rights.
Bashar,
there's an alliance happening in the Middle East. There's actors like Russia and China who've aligned themselves with Iran, and Iran acts as a proxy through them for their interests in the Middle East. And there's the United States, who's created a alliance between Israel, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Qatar, etc., and Kuwait, and formed an alliance, and Egypt, and formed an alliance, right? So there's this competition that's happening with these countries, and you have to understand that it's not like when you're looking at it in the terms of who's good and who's bad. It's not as simple as that.
Yeah.
You have to just put that away. There are sometimes good people, good politicians that come into power, and there's bad ones too. But when you look at the world like that, nothing ends up making sense.
That's true.
The only thing you can start understanding is what are their motivations, what is each country trying to benefit from the other, and what direction are they trying to take in terms of policy? What are their motivations for taking a different direction? And that's when things start making sense. When you start trying to understand in good guy, bad guy term, because that's how we are grown up with, right? We look at the world where we're looking at politicians, human beings, whether they're good or bad.
What's good and bad, yeah.
Right?
What's good and bad, yeah.
But you can't look at the political landscape like that. It's much more complicated than that.
Motives, goals, and interests. That's all it is.
And on that note, I just would like to say, too, I know people want to make the Houthis the good guys, but they also have an alliance with Iran, right? They have their own motivation. Like he said, sometimes we can appreciate the stuff they do, but keep in mind it's motivated by, they're a proxy of Iran, right? And sometimes what they do is, great for our cause, and other times it's not. right?
And that doesn't mean that they shouldn't take aid from Iran. The Houthis, Hamas, anyone who is resisting the Israeli occupation, they should take assistance from anyone they can.
I mean, I think that's basic, right? Like if you're struggling and you're going to get help from anybody, right? Like the Afghans took help from America, Charlie Wilson's war, right? They fought against the Russians. When your back is against the wall, you're going to take help from wherever you get, even the devil himself, right? You're going to if he can give you weapons, right? You're going to take it. But I think for clarity, right, for understanding purposes, these are political entities that have alliances and they have a motivation behind it, right? And I think for me, as looking at the larger picture and from a Muslim perspective, I say if they're going to destroy each other, let them do it.
Yeah.
Let Allah make a new
political landscape,
like scorch earth, and then let it reborn. Like
sometimes when you're in a situation like this, where nothing, it doesn't seem like there's like a light at the end of the tunnel. You seem like from every perspective, you're like, there's a checkmate here. MBS has crushed every opponent possible. There's no possibility of a revival happening in the Arabian Peninsula. And all these other governments, like Sisi has crushed every opponent possible, etc. Bashar has won in Syria. You're like, it seems like it's all over. Erdogan seems like he's on his way out with the recent elections, and everything looks like it's down, right? What sometimes happens, I don't know if you remember playing Monopoly or any kind of board games when you're young, like chess or something. When you get frustrated, you wipe the whole thing clean. You just take the thing and you just
hit the board.
And I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done that in the past. When things are so bad, the whole map needs to be cleared out.
Wiped out.
When was the most recent one?
World War II.
No, most similar one, at least for Muslims. Right when the Mongols came, right?
Yeah.
The Mongols ravaged through. The Abbasids were very similar to how we were right now.
Yeah.
This is why we renamed it the Mad Mamluks, because the Mamluks came at
we had these
period.
Powerful rulers that had lots of money, lots of fortune.
The Abbasid Khalif had very little power. There were all these other vassal states that were all around him that were competing for power, and it was the end of it. It was all the signs were already there that, hey, this dynasty is on its way out.
It was just symbolic.
Everyone was at each other's throat. Every Khalif was worried about holding on to power. Who's going to backstab him? Who's going to kill him? There were all kinds of different military factions that they had set up, and it was panic and pandemonium. And the Mongols came as a scourge of God, even though they said it.
Remember they said that?
They said that. They said, we are your punishment for God, and from your God to you.
And what did he say to the Abbasid Khalif?
About the golden knobs? Yeah. Had you used those golden knobs to build weapons to fight against us, you would not be in the situation today.
And so imagine that, how relevant it is today. They're spending money on concerts and broke line projects that are severely underestimated, undervalued, and all these things, right? They're building all these things, the tallest tower, or we're gonna be a geo city, we're gonna be a crypto city, blah 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 blah. But all of that means nothing.
Yeah, dude.
They have zero autonomy. They're living under the foot like slaves. They have tons of money, but no agency. And that's exactly what the Abbasids were. Abbasids had tons of money, a lot of it. They had libraries. They had all this modern architecture. They had they were thriving in music and art and all these things, right? But all of that meant nothing. It meant nothing because they had no ability to exercise justice. When something happened, there's no way you could guarantee that justice would prevail.
One of the things that I've wanted to talk to the listeners about for a while is because people often mention, how do you guys get away with saying the stuff you guys do and not worrying about, your job and stuff like that? And it's a really important question, because you have to understand, people are operating out of this, 4-hour work week mindset, go, sell, use your, every hour is worth $200 or whatever number. Yeah. And everyone's in this mindset of making money, right? And accumulating wealth and then living way beyond their means, because in this type of debt-based capitalism that we're living in, good debt is good.
Yeah.
But what's also made debt be to Muslims, especially Arab and Pakistani and Indian Muslims, brown Muslims who are probably the most wealthy Muslims in the United States and the UK, is that it's silenced them as well, because they realize that, their opinions can cost them money. So you'll see them as the most quiet. So while there are many exceptions here and there, you'll see among my close friends, there's amazing, wealthy Muslims who have done some amazing work. I'm not putting everyone under the same blanket, but for the large part, the majority, right?
Generally.
We're seeing this play out on a societal level, on an individual level, and also on a nation state level, right? Because Saudi Arabia is doing all these projects way beyond their means. How much is the line project? $20 trillion or something like that? Ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Trillions and trillions of dollars. Okay,
And
they
they're
realize
far behind on their project time.
they're not even going to complete it by Vision 2030. They realize like they're going to have to make it modular.
Only like
and stuff.
200,000 people could be possibly living there.
Yeah.
So how do you fight against this kind of mentality, right? How do you fight against this kind of hostage situation you're in, where everything that you say has a consequence to it, a monetary consequence to it, right? So I began to think about like, okay, well, what gives me and everyone who is talking about this the strength to talk about it, right? The ability to talk about it. First of all, one of the common things that many of us have is that we're not dependent on one source of income.
Yep.
We all diversify. We're not held hostage by one career, one thing. I know if my cybersecurity career goes away, I have 4 other professions at least that I could pursue and make money from. I'm like, you have to start developing a skill set, right? You can't just say like, oh, this is my one thing and I'm not going to learn anything else. You have to have a mindset of growth.
Yeah.
Always. And so there's that. The second one is like, I know everyone that I grew up with has a McMansion. They have a very nice home. I don't need that. I don't live beyond my means. I want to have a paid off home and not worry about, keeping up with someone else. And, God bless them. Have their McMansions. I love you guys. May Allah give you 10 times more, a real mansion. But that's not who I am. That's not what I need.
So don't be keeping up with the Joneses.
Get what you need.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't live like a pauper or give up the dunya.
Yeah.
There's nice things I like.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to realize like you don't need the exact same thing that other people have.
You're right.
You're
right.
Yeah.
And understanding this mindset, it took me a long
very
time
important.
because my dad, I should have been like everyone else, but my dad would always be like, hey, what do you need that Lexus for? It was my first time I bought a Lexus, bro. He's like, look at you. Look at your home. Who are you fooling?
What a
Like
gangster.
you're driving a Lexus?
Your dad's a gangster, dude.
You're driving a Lexus? Wait, look at you. Go look at your face in the mirror.
Your shakal dekho aine mein.
What makes you think you drive a Lexus? Who are you trying to cool? For a kid,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man. When he talked to me like that, I love that because I love that brutal truth. Because when people make things like nice and warm and don't try to, tell you the truth, it doesn't really sometimes get the point.
It's not good
across.
for you, bro. It's not good for you if someone's always patting you back for everything you do.
Yeah, and
It's not good for you.
I thought he'd be probably like, oh man, my son got a Lexus. It was a nice Lexus. You guys remember that, right? It was that GS 400 or whatever.
GS 350. 450, yeah.
Yeah, 450 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a nice one, man. Nice emerald green, cream, soft leather.
Yeah.
It was the best car I've had, but he said, go look at your face in the mirror. He said, who are you trying to kid? You don't make that kind of money,
That's true.
You might have afforded that car. It's it's a few years old and you bought it used, but everyone thinks that you have money, but you don't. So you're kind of lying to people, aren't you?
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. But
the modern mind would be like, wait, why is somebody?
No. I mean, look, here's the thing. I think at the core of it, what they're saying is right. If you have to analyze why you're buying something, right? If you're buying something because you're seeking approval from others, it's a problem. If you're buying something because you genuinely enjoy something and you're going to enjoy it for yourself, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, to his dad's point, buy things because they're trying to show others, look, I didn't get left behind. I'm successful too. Yeah, I'm making it in this world, right? Don't look down on me. And they're using material objects to solidify that point and say, look, I'm balling, bro. I'm living good. I got a good life, right? And in most cases, most people who do things like that are literally living on credit. If they lost, they're one paycheck away from poverty, right? If they lost their job, they would be on government assistance within 1 month. And that's not, actually, that's even against, I believe, the sunnah. You should have a certain amount of months saved up so you can live, right? And so to his dad's point, that is absolutely true. But I think one critical thing that I would say we missed here in this, at the end of the day, I can do whatever I want to do, have multiple streams of income, have multiple jobs, right? But if Allah does not decree my qadr, my rizq,
right.
I'm not going to get it.
You're right.
I'm not going to fear no goddamn man. If I fear him, I don't fear Allah, who's giving me my money?
Yeah.
That little guy at the end of the stick who's going to sign my paycheck? No, Allah gave him tawfiq to do that.
You're right. That's true.
Allah put it in his head to hire me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There have been, honestly, I'll say this right now, and maybe this is the benefit of the show, Allahu alam, but being able to speak, wallahi, I've gotten more money than I've ever made in my life.
Wow.
Right? Why? Because it's not from myself. I know I don't deserve a single penny that I have. You guys know me. I don't have to get my background. I don't deserve a single job, a single penny. I don't deserve none of this money at all. But alhamdulillah, for whatever reason, Allah blessed me for this.
Yeah.
And if you think that for a moment that you have control over that, I'm not saying don't do effort. Do that. You have control over the effort.
Yeah.
But you do not have control over your rizq.
Yeah.
And the minute you think you did that, you've lost. Because now you are going to think that you can affect وَلِيَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ what you make.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not the case. And sacrificing your principles is not going to save you, not going to earn you more money. Whatever is written for you, Allah is going to give to you.
Yeah, bro.
And if you don't believe in that, you need to check your iman.
Yeah, bro.
There are people that risk their life every day. And they say, and they may not have millions of dollars, but guess what? Allah makes their bills get paid every single month.
Yep.
And they have some more.
Yeah.
And they get more. And Allah protects them from lawsuits, from losing a job, from having any major calamity. Allah protects them from that. We have an example of our brother Hassan Shibli.
Yeah.
Every kind of thing went his way. And Allah made, what was the outcome? Allah got him married again. Allah gave him benefit in a better career. Allah made him even more prominent. This is what Allah does for you. If you are not willing to even lose a paycheck to say a word of truth,
Yeah.
what good is your religion for you? What good is this thing that we hold on to and say, oh, we Muslims are an ummah that's better than everybody else? Why are we better than everybody else? Because we enjoin the good and we forbid the evil.
No matter the price.
Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qulu qawlan sadida. Right? You have to say what's right and upright. And if you can't do that, then what is the point of all of this? Is Jannah that cheap? Are people that, I mean, can you just buy and, you might as well just buy and sell your religion. What is the point? You have to get out of this mindset that you have done something. No, you're trying to do your effort for the religion and you leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you do it sincerely, Allah will open doors for you that you don't even think will open for you.
Yeah. And that's one thing I liked about what your dad said. He basically took an entire understanding of value of this world and just took it away from you. Just and it, obviously it probably was difficult to hear it that same day, 2 days, 3 days. But the simplicity that he charged within you is that's amazing. It's literally taking everything that you value and take it away.
As a son, you're looking for approval. You want your parents to be proud of you.
Of course.
You want them to say like, "Oh, look."
That tarbiyah doesn't end, bro.
And my dad's like, "That's not what I'm looking for from you. Like, that's not how I'm becoming proud of you." He just like took that. He's like, "Stop becoming them." Like them meaning like all these other desis. And
it makes sense. I realize how simple it is. Like people, it's this higher dad. Like how complicated.
I think what he's trying to say.
He's a total simple dude.
That's not the value of a man.
Yeah.
Men are built on things that they do, not things that they own. Right? A man, like when a man passes away, when my father passed away, no one said, "Oh, look how big house he had. Look, he had a Mercedes. He had." No one said that.
You're right.
Everybody said, "Oh man, he dedicated to Sunday school. He was in the masjid. He was a musalli. He gave his zakah, he gave sadaqah, he gave charity, he helped people, he taught people, he benefited the people." That's how you measure a man. all this house, all these things, and to be honest, let's say you could even buy a McMansion cash. What guarantees you're going to have it tomorrow? A flood could come, and insurance companies jerk you around.
Or you could die.
Could lose everything.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing, right? These people are in people who can't afford that kind of stuff. They see them and say, "Oh wow, you're so rich," but they don't realize like they're maybe a month's paycheck away from losing everything.
There's a lot of misery involved in everything, bro.
Like you're seeing them going on vacations and all this stuff, but it is just a breath away from losing everything. Because they've accustomed themselves to live this exorbitant amount of life where they're living way beyond like how their income should actually dictate,
Mm-hmm. That's why you mentioned credit.
And they see like, oh wow, everyone's making it. Like, no, they're not. It's an illusion. A lot of them have hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Sometimes over $500,000 worth of debt. Yeah. And people don't register. It doesn't equate with that. The only reason why they're able to have that incredible credit line is because they have a large income, but they're so close from just losing it all, right? Yeah. Like you think about like all these, like when Imad came on, he talked about his Jerusalem gangster story. I'm like, dude, the smart thing is to do is just like make a lot of money and just escape, right? But he talked about it like, you see everyone else doing this. You're seeing, oh, your boy's getting this car. You see this addiction to all the people looking at you with authority, driving down with that nice car and stuff like that. And you're like, you kind of start just eating that up. Yeah. The smart thing to do would be just to make as much money as you can and just book it. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. In a couple of years. And be glad that you
never
put the
drug.
Right? But it's that drug. Yeah. It's not even about the money anymore. It's just about the drug of power, of respect.
All eyes on me.
And that's and it's the most amazing thing that Islam was formed by individuals and came to power from the most humble of individuals. Had nothing.
Couldn't even read and write, bro.
Abu Bakr, the first Khalif, didn't even know he's working in the market.
Yes.
But on the flip, though, don't forget, Allah can give you money even when you don't expect it. Millions, right? And we see that example among the Sahaba too. For example, Uthman al-Ghani, Abdurrahman bin Auf, Musab bin Umair. They had money, and it's what they did with their money.
It was a tool.
There's a saying, right? There's a saying. In America they say, "Oh, money is the root of all evil." We don't believe that.
No.
I believe, and the saying in the Arabs too, that money is a tool, and if you're a good person, money will make you better. And if you're an evil person, money will make you worse.
Very true.
Right? And so people like Uthman al-Ghani, he got the name al-Ghani because he was able to spend and be accountable for his money and give it away to people. Right? Abu Bakr was able to give his wealth away. Right? These were things that happened. So what I'm saying is that having money, earning money, if Allah gives you money, alhamdulillah, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana. Take the hasana, no problem. But how do you use it? Does that hasana define you? Is that hasana, is that risk going to define you as a man? Is that what Allah is going to look at? Is that what people will remember you as? No, actually, and the contrary. If you have lots of money and did nothing, people will say, man, what a shame. He had all that money, but nothing came from it. Absolutely nothing came from it. Right? And that's why what's funny, I feel like, is that it was really funny. We've built this delusion that, oh, we're going to build all this money and then my children are going to build a well for me in Africa when I die and it's going to be good for me. What are you talking about, bro? That may have some benefit, inshallah, sadaqah jariyah, but you could have done much more in this life. And the thing is that I think I really love this conversation because it's tied to so many different things, and my mind was thinking about this. It's tied to what he was saying, and it's tied to even us as men. There is no blessing like the blessing of being independent. Independent of people, independent of finance, independent of the dunya. Meaning that, hey, people are great, but they're temporary. I have Allah, and that's who I rely on. Money, it's great. I have a tool, but guess what? It can be taken tomorrow. I just want to be content. Whatever Allah gives me, I'm content with. Be independent of that dependency on money. And number 3, what? The idea of being independent of, just the luxury that you have in this world, like dependency on the dunya, right? Hey, it's temporary. Allah tells you in the Quran, we're going to test you. We surely are going to test you. Look at the people in Palestine, how they respond to things. Yeah. everything to them is pretty much temporary. Their money, their food, their shelter, their families, the people around them, their spouses, their children, everything is temporal for them at this moment. They could literally tomorrow have something and be gone. We're not tested like that. Most of us don't lose a family member every day. Most of us have food on the table every day. Most of us have a check coming to the account, right? But for them, literally everything is temporal. And to be independent of that is when a man truly can elevate himself, right? Because otherwise, you're always in this state of ghafla.
You're a slave to something else.
Yes, you're in this state of like constant worry and anxiety. Like, oh man, that's not enough. I need this. Or oh my God, if my wife dies, I'm dead. I can't do anything. I'll be destroyed. I'll be crushed. Right? Oh, if my friend doesn't show up, I'm depressed. I mean, you're dependent on things, everything except the one who you should be dependent on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Speaking of money,
Huh.
we had Patrick Bet-David who visited Piers Morgan. Patrick Bet-David, for those who are uninformed, made millions in selling like life insurance,
and
stuff
yeah,
like
Real estate.
term life insurances and stuff like that.
So he has this major podcast called the PBD podcast and Valuetainment.
He's a part owner
many
of the
of you
Yankees.
guys are familiar with the guys.
He is
like,
a part owner of the Yankees.
Part owner of the Yankees now. Yes. Yeah.
So very wealthy man, 350 million I think is his net worth or something, and he went on Patrick Bet-David. He went on Piers Morgan's show talking about Israel Palestine, and to be fair to PBD, in the past he did make pro-Palestinian comments, but it seems like the pressure is hitting. So let's just have the listeners.
He has to think about his money now.
See.
Oh, he got quite
supposed
the
to be a
tan, too.
grandmaster. Your number one supposed to be a grandmaster. Your number one move should be protect your border, not Ukraine. If you're saying let's worry about Ukraine, maybe it's number 9 on the list. It ain't number 1 above the border. That is the most ludicrous argument I would ever make.
Well, let me ask you this.
We have to take care of America
Well, let me ask you
first,
this.
then we take care of everybody
Why
else.
should America be supporting Israel then? That's thousands of miles away.
How much money are we giving to Israel?
Billions.
How much money are we giving Israel? I'm curious. Go ahead. I'm curious. Go ahead.
Oh, but
Are we sending troops over there? Are we sending missiles
Yes.
over there?
No,
Yes.
but
How
you
much
are-
money are we giving to
America
Israel? I know
does
the
spend-
dome we've given it since 1945.
America
I think $10 billion
spend-
we've given to them. $3 billion is towards the dome.
Yeah.
How much money are we giving them?
Billions of dollars.
Not comparable.
I just want to interrupt here. $350 billion, Patrick Bet-David.
And also, we do
What
put
we do
troops
all
there.
Altogether,
Ukraine-
350.
Wait, hold on.
350
Yearly. Hold on, pause this. Also, we do put troops there. We have a whole hidden base in the Negev. We actually do, even in this recent experiment we just saw right now, they literally put American lives on danger to combat the the missiles coming in, right? We had American soldiers shooting down.
No, that's understood. But you said $350 billion a year?
No, not a year.
Not a year,
Oh, no,
altogether.
Altogether, yeah.
Altogether,
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
about something like
4
$4 billion a year. Yeah,
4 billion a year, yeah.
All right.
12 months. 24 months?
So isn't
No
the-
way.
Isn't the
Not
principle,
even close.
Isn't the principle the same? You're doing it to help them defend themselves.
No, it's not. The part with Israel is slightly different because it's both strategic, because there's only one country in Israel that has historically always been pro-America and has been an ally in the Middle East, and that's Israel. Iran's not been the case since the Shah, right? Saudi Arabia now with MBS, he's trying to work and make
Waffling.
progress to
Waffle.
the point where Ronaldo, your friend, feels safe going out there with his family to play soccer there.
Wait, Saudi Arabia, you feel safe walking around Saudi Arabia? When did they ever not feel safe? All right, it's such what the only people who feel who are terrified of walking around Saudi Arabia are
criminals.
No, not or scholars or
Oh, yeah.
anyone who has power over there.
No, I mean to be fair, I mean that's one aspect. But I mean, generally speaking, crime is relatively unheard of in Saudi Arabia. Rape is relatively unheard of. Theft is relatively unheard of. It's a far safer country than many other places. We may not like the regime, right? But this is true for most Muslim countries, right? It's because
What he wants to say, and he doesn't want to. He's trying to say underneath that BS that he's saying right now is that it's becoming
more
acceptable,
modern and American-like.
more acceptable to Western values.
Yep.
right? So that's what he wants to say underneath that BS.
He wants to say, oh, women can take off their hijab.
We're
they
having
can have mixed concerts. They can have booze there. Like that's what he's hinting at, right? I like those things he's doing. He's allowing you to get drunk, to have a church here, to do this, to do that. That's what he wants. It's not about the fact that people are doing business there. It's the fact that people are being attracted to a change in the lifestyle and the culture.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Nicki Minaj is allowed
Yeah.
there, shaking her hips. All right.
These are good things that MBS and Saudi Arabia is doing. He's kind of doing what the Shah was doing back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I like what he's doing with Saudi Arabia. But Israel, to us, a part of it is also loyalty due to our faith, where we need that country, especially what America was founded on, Judeo-Christian. That's a little bit deeper than that. But with Ukraine, the guy's an opportunistic guy. Respect to him that's coming up to America, making everybody feel guilty and raising money. I salute him for being a great beggar and a great fundraiser.
Okay, this is stupid.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't understand anything about geopolitics, okay? Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, these are all hedges against
Extensions. Yeah.
hedges against great superpowers, historical superpowers like Russia, China, from ever-growing influences. It's like a dam that America builds. All right, Ukraine is part of America's. It's a strategic area, without a doubt. All right. Now, I'm not saying that you should be sending Americans to the ground. I'm just saying the political reasoning.
The interest is the same. That's what he's trying to say. Like,
There's a reason why Republicans and Democrats are both supporting sending all these billions of dollars to Ukraine.
So
It's gone beyond political lines. It's a political strategy to contain Russian influence.
So
right?
real quickly, later on in this clip, he says, "Oh, plus our Judeo-Christian value." That's bullshit. All right, listen. Honestly, guys, listen. People feel that, yes, but the highest levels of office don't give a crap
They don't
about
care
your
about
religion.
that. Hell no.
Right?
Nobody
They care about interest. The reason why America supports Israel is because Israel gives them lots of intelligence, and they recognize that Israelis are a minority among Arabs, and any minority is willing to do whatever it takes to make sure Big Brother's on their side. The same reason why America will prop up the Kurds, they will prop up all these significant minority groups in that region, like Ahmadis, Aga Khan, whoever, right? They will do it because they know that minorities are desperate for help, and they realize that if they don't have a big superpower behind them, they could be wiped out tomorrow. So make no mistake, Israel is dependent on America for big time support like we just saw, and America knows they can leverage Israel's fear of being wiped out by its Arab neighbors. But they need that state there because they can always threaten the Arab allies and say, well, we don't really need to have any relationship with you. We have comfortable Israel for us, and we can do whatever we want in that region. And if you get out of line, we use Israel to smash you down, right? And that's what they do. Likewise, the Ukraine is at the front door of Russia, okay? And it's a slap in the face to Russia. They can say, look, you know what? We want to stop communism. That's what they call it. We don't want to advance your cause. We want to have our say in Europe. And in order to protect that interest, we're going to team up with Ukraine. And Ukraine will do what we say because, like Israel, Ukraine is underpowered and they need support. And so they will prop them up. It's the same reason why the Americans propped up the Afghans in the Afghan-Soviet war. They didn't have some burning desire to see Muslims thrive in Afghanistan. No, they realized that Muslims provided the best opportunity as a defense against the spreading of communism, the USSR, right? They realized that the Soviet Union would face a back or a pressure resistance from the Afghans, right? And the Afghans realized they knew the Afghans needed help, and they exploited that situation. So what Sim is saying is that for the very same reason why they're supporting Israel is why they're supporting the Ukraine. They're not separate issues.
Yeah.
They are tied together. The very same people, like imagine this, the very same package deal that just passed right now, I think a day ago, last night, is literally about Israel and the Ukraine. They're funding both of them because it serves the same interest.
Yeah.
It's naive to think the way he thinks. or Iran is not really a friend of ally. Iran could be a friend of ally to America when America says so tomorrow. If America feels like Saudi Arabia is a bad boy, they're gonna prop up Iran and say, "Oh, sure, you know, Ayatollah, you're a good guy. You know, we had it wrong the whole time. MBS is a devil." Right? You know, we see strategic partnerships here. We see some thrive, some steps you're taking. We like it here. We're going to give you some money. We're going to open the bank accounts. Bad boy, Saudi Arabia. Sit down. You're the evil guy now.
Yeah.
And then everybody's narrative would change.
Yep.
Oh, we have great strategic partnership with Iran. We're getting oil from them. They control the Persian Gulf. They're giving us access. All the same stuff they say about all these places could be applied to any actor in the Middle East.
That's true. Very well
It's
said.
all BS, dude.
And who's the last? We talked about Russia being the stopgap, Ukraine being the stopgap for Russia.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about China being the stopgap for, Taiwan being the stopgap for China, and Israel being the stopgap for the Muslim world.
The caliphate.
The caliphate.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like these are all like measures, areas where the United States has identified historical power, people who have ambitions of being world powers, right? Which America, the United States wants to maintain. They want to maintain their number one spot. And they've identified these historical adversaries as their potential competitors. They've made alliances with their number one historical adversary, the United Kingdom, and they said, "Hey, we both are going to slice up the world, and we'll share it together." Right? So that's why the United Kingdom, Canada, France, they all kind of go in or even Germany go in concert with the United States. But there's no innate reason why they should, or that they need to compete against it, because they're carving up the entire world for themselves. Like, hey, let's all work together.
Mutual interest.
The United States says, "Hey, you follow our direction. We'll tell you what to do, and you do it." That's what you. It's amazing the way you see Germany dance to America's political tune. It's like, wow, it's just
So
tell
docile,
them, like, hey,
right?
so docile.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. But we'll see Patrick with David's response now to
The criticism.
by people.
He looks beat
If
up
you're
here.
part of the easily triggered community, do not watch this video. It's going to piss you off. If you're part of the community that can reason in a logical, non-emotional, name-calling way, I want to have a debate with you. Tear apart my argument at whatever level you
I
want.
would love to go on this
Whether
show.
you're pro-Iran, pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, pro-Ukraine, whatever you may be. One thing you need to know about me, just 2 weeks ago, everybody was saying I'm pro-Iran. I'm not about America because I called out Daily Wire and, oh my God, Ben Shapiro this, Patrick, all he cares about is Iran. And then yesterday, after my Piers Morgan interview, no. Pat's a Zionist. He's a pro-Israel guy. Make up your mind. Which one am I to you? Seems like I'm pissing both of you guys off, but here's where I stand. I'm about America first. I'm going to make my argument to you today, once and for all. I've been very consistent about my position. You tell me whatever you want to say, but let me start off by telling you this. My position is based on what these two eyes have seen when I lived in Iran for 11 years, 10 and a half years. And we escaped and came to Germany, then we came to the States. I saw with these eyes a lot of hate in Iran. Marg bar America, death upon America, non-stop. So,
Pause
having
there.
said
Please
that,
pause there.
for those of you,
So first of all, I'm not a fan of Iran. Everyone knows that, right? But you're talking about Iran that's engaged in a war with America. How many times you find Americans saying, kill those Muzzies or destroy Iraq or all kind? That's sentiment is gonna be there in a war.
Yeah.
Especially when they say these statements, they're talking obviously about American governments. They're talking about regime. They're not talking about Tom, Dick, and Harry, who's
They're
going
talking
down
about
the-
a regime that supported a corrupt Shah.
Yeah, exactly. Who was trying to exploit natural resources of the people. I'm not saying I agree with the Shah, or Shah or Ayatollah. I have my own issues with them. But to make it sound like they're just screaming death to America for no reason, and there's no reason why anybody would hate America, it's either it's being naive or it's being disingenuous. And you should know that
I
living
see
in
what you're
Iran, they realized what the Americans were doing. That was the whole reason why. People don't realize this, but the Ayatollah himself did not create this revolution. There was a green revolution that happened. He hijacked the revolution later, but the revolution was an organic one that happened because there was pushback against the Shah spending, nationalizing things and spending money of the people. Right? Like they removed Mossadegh, they put in the Shah and all the stuff, right? They did that part. And so people were fed up with what the Shah was doing. And then that was the perfect opportunity for Khomeini to come in. By the way, who had the blessing from the CIA in Paris. He met with them before he landed in Iran. They thought, oh, this is a regime that's going to be like kind of like Saudi Arabia, religious, but they're cool with us, right? But obviously Khomeini didn't follow that path. But again, this was by design. The Americans allowed it to happen. So now you're saying that when they realize how bad the Americans were, they're cursing the American government. Big deal. That happens everywhere in the world. Yeah. The Americans were cursing the Vietnam, the Chi Com, the Viet Cong. Everybody's cursing everybody in war. How is that any different?
I see what you're saying.
All right, let's go.
Continue.
Great point.
That are defending Iran, and you hate Israel, and Israel's the problem, and America's a problem. No problem. Iran's had control of their country for a long time, since 1979. Why is it that their misery index is 61 right now? Okay. Why is it their misery index has doubled in the last 6 years? That's inflation and unemployment. Why is it that their corruption index in the world is 149 out of 180, while the world average score is 43? The Middle East countries average is 34. The North Africa average is 34. Iran's average is 24. How much corruption is there in Iran? And by the way, for some of you guys are like, no.
Pause there. That all may be true, but you conveniently forgot the fact. Again, this is not in defense of Iran. Everyone here knows I'm not an Iranian fan, right? I have my issue with their foreign policy in Arabia and the Middle East. However, the bottom line is that don't you think that the blockade and sanctions on Iran have a reason to have an impact on that stuff? The fact that you blocked their ability to trade, their IMF loans, everything under the sun, you block even parts for airplanes they can use, things like that. Like, don't you think it has an impact on the quality of life living there? And if we're gonna do stat comparison, America's been on top for a very long time. Why is the average IQ dropping? Why is the average lifespan dropping? Why is obesity rising? Why is depression rising? Why do we have high inflation? Why do we have all that in America? The same thing could be asked to you.
Yeah. Our birth rate's declining.
Yeah. So many things like this, right? You could turn the thing around. This is just not a good argument. It seems like either, like I said, either he's being disingenuous or he's just stupid about how this thing works. Continue, play it.
They're definitely not the biggest exporters of terrorism. That is America. That is not Iran. That's not what they're doing. Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah. You want me to continue? What do you want me to do with Iran, what they're doing? You think they wake up in the morning saying they love America? No. By the way, history for you. You know what's the first country ever that said death upon America? It was North Korea in the 50s. Do you know what's the second country in the world that ever said death upon America? It was Iran. You know under who? Khomeini. When? January of 1979, when Shah fell. And by the way, for those of you that say, so what's your solution for Iran? Because I love the people of Iran, not the politics. I love the people of Iran. You want to know what the number 2 country, second country ever, in 1953, that announced Iran as Israel as a sovereign state? You know, it was the second leading Muslim country in the world in 1953 to actually announce Israel as a sovereign state. It was Iran. You know under who? The Shah of Iran, when Iran used to be at peace, when the Middle East used to be at peace, and he got along with Israel, even though he didn't trust the Zionists who ran the media in America, and he called them out all the time in many interviews with Wallace, and he's always like, I don't trust those guys, the New York Times, the this, the that, but he still had a relationship with them, and Iran never got up saying, Marik Bado Recall, death upon America. That anger and rage came from a different place.
So
why?
What?
I don't know.
Wait,
now let me continue with the people that say.
So what? People say death to America inside of America.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? How is that indicative of a foreign policy? Look, we understand that in the public-facing politics, countries badmouth each other all the time. It's part of the optics, right? It really matters what happens behind closed doors. And if Iran... I'm not saying Iran is an angel, but there's certainly more damage they could have done in that region, and they could do a lot more things to harm America than just simply screaming death to America.
That's true.
Right? There's a lot more they could potentially do if they want to really make it a tough time. It feels like to me this is he's appealing to an emotional argument. Oh my God, how dare they say death to America? How can you? Oh my God, I'm so insulted. And look, I get it. If you're an American, that doesn't sound nice. But the reality is that really a threat to America? Is that really a threat to any? Does anybody here in the morning wake up and oh my God, Iran said death to America? They chant this.
It's like when white people hear the word cracker, like they just shrug it off.
Yeah.
Like okay, so and like you're freaking America, dude. You're number one. You're number one in terms of military superpower, right? You're the strongest country in the world.
Another thing, like how many times has Putin said stuff about America? How many times has Kim Jong-un, Rocket Man, said about America? Like, who cares?
When you go to Iran, you see most people behaving like Americans.
Yeah.
That society is for the most part. We've had many guests on the past who've talked about living in Iran. They say that most people like dress
Secular,
Western.
yeah.
They're Western.
Yeah.
They have Western values.
So laugh at those women.
So he's contradicting himself. So when he saw death to America when he was young, but now he's saying that he's not talking about the people of Iran. What's he saying then? Because remember how early in the video he's saying that
Iranian people.
I love the Iranian people,
Yeah.
but he's saying with my two eyes I saw death to America. So what are you saying?
Like you saw the Shah in person? You saw Ayatollah in person? Like you were hanging out in the quarters of the Ayatollah?
You only saw the Ayatollah saying death to America? There was large crowds that you were saying that you saw that were yelling death to America.
Yeah.
But now you're saying that the Iranian people are not who this is directed to. Like he's contradicting himself.
It's just, you know what it feels like? It feels like he's just really trying to amp this personality he has about being America first and trying to justify it, but he's not really thought through this argument. Listen, if you want to put America first, you would say something like defund Israel, defund Saudi Arabia, defund Egypt. Let's not send food aid to North Korea. I mean, you would defund all of it. Right? You would say, stop this stuff. Let's build homes in America. Let's build roads. Let's bring our servicemen back. Right? Let's not fight Israel's war for them. Let's not get involved in NATO and provoke Russia. Let's have a more isolationist approach in a sense that to some degree, obviously, we have to be involved. But, we have a role there. But let's take a step back. Let's de-escalate the climate in America in the world right now. That's putting America first. Putting America first means, hey, you know what? Don't worry about Iran right now. Worry about the liberal terrorists you have inside who are trying to force, a video of putting on a condom on a banana in front of your 5-year-old child. Like that's a war that's more important to us, right? A war about, saving your children, protecting your children, the right for you to practice your religion. All these things, these are real things that put Americans first. How about you cry about the Second Amendment? Why can't I buy an AK-47 or AR-15 in Chicago anymore now? Because they put a gun ban from the state level? Like, isn't that something more about America first? Like, I feel more threatened about that than Iran saying, Mar, Bar, whatever, America. I don't give a what they say, dude. Who cares? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just look at what Iran did to Israel. We know they're not really meaning they're not a dumb nation that's going to go beyond reasonable responses, right? Like, they could have done much more they could have launched a bunch of ballistic missiles and ICBMs at Israel, but they're calculated. They also know there's a game to play, right? They're never going to attack America directly. Are you out of your mind? That would be the end of everything they want to hold on to power. Yeah. Why would they relinquish their power? Like the same reason why, the little rocket man in North Korea can point an ICBM at Guam. He'll never launch that thing out. He'll be out of office. I mean, he'll be dead in a few hours. Like, this is unrealistic.
Under his breath, what he's trying to say is that, there's an Islamic force that is propelling all this hate, right? There is plenty of good Saudis, plenty of good Iranians who exemplify Western values.
He always says that.
But what he's not saying, or maybe he will say later, at least, is that the hatred for America, for Judeo-Christian values, is from Islam, right? And well, let's just play more of it, and maybe he comes to it.
Well, the part with Pierce Morgan, $300 billion U.S. has given to Israel.
That's adjusted to inflation. It's really $150 billion since 1948.
76 years, of which most was given before 1980. Do you know why? Because on January 1st of 1980, you know what Jimmy Carter said? We're no longer giving you a lot of aid. He did what Biden does. He brought it all the way down to $200 million at the time, okay? Biden, Carter, very similar. And it was shambles in the world. Carter, Biden, shambles in the world, similarity, case study. Watch what happened from there. Do you know from 1980 till today, U.S. has given Israel $3 to $4 billion per year, okay? Military aid. Economical aid, it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't even think they've given any money, but anything in the last 15 years, you can go look it up for yourself and see where that stands. And again, let's stay on this, because some of you guys are going to be like, yeah, but what's your point? We're still helping them out. Okay, well, you want me to help you out if you wake up every morning and you say death upon my country? Why would I help you out? And by the way, who is U.S.'s number one enemy in the world that caused, COVID, and still hasn't been held accountable for? Do you know what that country's name is? Yes, it's called China. Do you know who gave Iran $300 to $400 billion for the next 25 years? China. So you want me to be allies and friendly to you?
Pause. So who cares? We also have $300 to $400 billion trade deals with China. We make money hand over fist with China. So should we X ourselves off too? Are we anti-American now because we take goods from China? Like, how stupid is this? Yeah. Secondly, okay, so he's trying to downplay $4 billion a year, okay? But the point in principle exists. Can that $4 billion be put back to America as America first? Of course it could. $4 billion to, let's say, to reinvest in infrastructure like bridges in Baltimore so they don't come crumbling down. Could that be better use of money?
I think so.
Right. And we're talking about $4 billion in actual aid money, right? We're not talking about the billions in investment and research, like in terms of the Iron Dome, Goliath Sling, right? Things like this that they do. Or, for example, the research we put into having Israel build a new canal, the Ben Gurion Canal, where America was exploring using nuclear weapons in the Negev to blow it up, carve out canals in Egypt. I'm sorry, in the Negev in Israel, right? That research doesn't happen for free. We're not doing it out of the goodness of our heart. We pay people to do that, right? We pay that stuff. Not only that, we also put strain on our allies that we don't have a problem with. Like Saudi Arabia, like the other Arab states, it causes strain with them because this is an issue, the Palestine-Israel issue. We pay for that somehow. Like, did they not forget that the Palestine issue caused an oil crisis in the 70s? That didn't happen? That's a result of our relationship with Israel. So you might just be counting the $4 billion, but it's far more than that. It's caused far more damage than that over the course of decades. Bottom line is this, and this is the honest to God truth. America is more unsafe, and that is a direct correlation with how much they support Israel. The more support for Israel is, the more unsafe America is, and Americans are in the world. And so if you're thinking about America first, you need to reconsider what really keeps Americans safe.
But isn't America first to them? Like what you're talking, when they see that, they think, oh, this is just people, activists talking. To them, this is what needs to be done in order to preserve America in the long future. We need to take hits. We need to have monetary hits because those people who are on the ground, these activists, they don't know what it takes to be a president.
So let's talk about that, right? It's funny too because recently, right? Remember that OBL letter went famous?
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, look, they just want America outside of our land. They're supporting the Zionist state. Even the first ever terrorist attack or terror attack by a Middle Easterner happened when in America? Anybody know? Do you remember good old Bobby Kennedy? Sirhan? Yeah. By the way, a Christian Palestinian, not a Muslim one.
Oh, yes.
And what was that over? Israel and Palestine.
Yep.
All these groups, whether you look at Al-Qaeda, you look at ISIS, you look at any of these groups, Jamaat Islamiyya, all of it relates to American presence in the Middle East and how it works with allyship with Israel. All of it does. I argue that America's unholy alliance with Israel has made Americans and America far more unsafe. And the less support we give to Israel, the more safer we become. We see periods where Americans generally are, we're doing better. We don't have too many terror attacks, whatever, blah, 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 blah. We're appealing to our nations. Fine. But I'm saying the reason why there is a hotbed of terrorism and resistance and rebellion in that region is largely based on America's attitude and foreign policy towards that region, and it's heavily aligned with the interest of Israel.
No, it has to. That's what I'm saying. It has to be, though, because let's just say that, like, look, Israel needs to exist for America. Like you just said previously, if there was no Israel, what type of unity would happen with amongst the Muslims? It's a possibility that Israel's existence also is preventing the unity of the sleeping giant.
So I get that, right? But does America have unity? Is America doing fine with Russia existing and China existing? Yes. A caliphate can exist and America can be doing what they do, right? They can do that. They still exist with Russia. They coexist with China, who are all threats to them, right? But the simple question is, if you're America first, does supporting Israel protect the interest of Americans? And the short answer is no. Not economically, not from a safety perspective, not from a foreign policy perspective.
But this helps us understand, look, politically, they're not really concerned about the Americans.
That now you're getting my point.
Yeah, they're not
This America
concerned.
First thing is nonsense.
It's very much
It
nonsense.
doesn't mean
It's a
it's
facade.
not true.
It's a facade.
It's a
It's a
facade.
smokescreen.
Now
it never mattered.
Yeah, now we're getting to the gist
Yeah,
of it, right?
yeah, yeah.
You can. These are slogans. Like, for example, I'm pro-life, but I want to have a death penalty, right? I'm, or
But
things
isn't
like
this crazy? Don't you find this crazy that now it's coming out to light? But, dude, Muslims have been talking about this for the past 20, 30 years.
right? But
we saw right through
But hold
this.
on, the average American doesn't see it.
Oh,
this
the
way.
average American doesn't see it.
I mean, now they're beginning to see it, but the conservative, no, because again, this is why his default is what? Well, we're Judeo-Christian.
Yeah.
So it's not about America first. It's about your Judeo-Christian values, and somehow you think that that's why you have to support Israel.
No, that's why, look.
So let's be honest about it. Let's make it a religious thing then. Let's not make it about America. Let's not make it about white or black or anything. It's a religious thing for you. You guys are religious zealots that are willing to murder babies and children in order to believe in some kind of whacked out prophecy.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
No, and you know what I like? What we're saying here, look, if you guys get a chance to, it might be towards the middle of the Joe Rogan podcast where he interviews Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson very smoothly just made everybody believe that there's no such thing as democracy. It doesn't exist. And he does it actually very eloquently and almost like nonchalant, where he discredited, and you're like, wow, this is like what people have been thinking all along, but finally at this huge platform, they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And look, Joe Rogan's platform is much bigger than news platforms. And when he has Tucker Carlson on, I think he already has like 5 million views or something in like whatever amount of hours. But that's the reality. This whole facade and this love story of democracy and Americans and America first and patriotism, they're all fake. None of them are real.
Yeah.
It's all a facade. You can have certain rights if you talk about the right things. If you talk about the wrong things, you have no rights. Right. And that, look, he talks about like, Tucker Carlson says something really interesting. He said this before. If you make up lies about the government doesn't care. But if you have some truth of what actually is happening and you talk about it, then they're going to take you out.
He's spot on.
Yeah, they'll take you out. Like, you can make up, they don't care if you make up lies about them. You could have a blowhorn.
Yeah.
You could announce.
Look what they did to Julian Assange.
Exactly. But if you tell the truth, that's where it hurts, right? And it depends. And they'll make examples out of people. He was talking about even like his signal was hacked. I think it's a must listen to, is because everything Muslims have been saying for the past 30 years, people are understanding it now.
Yeah, and now we're understanding that why the whole America First program, and we talked about this when we were talking about Vivek in past episodes. The whole slogan in itself is false on its face. It's wrong. It makes no sense. It's a contradiction to what America is all about. It's completely antithetical to what they're all about, because America is the main benefactor of all the investments that they do all across the world.
And they don't actually care. It's true. The capitalist mindset will not want you to think about your own civilians. It's not a part of it. It's about getting rich. You're not a part of the equation. You're a part of the equation because they need your support as a number, right?
Right.
But the reality of this is that nationalism is a drug. It is a type of drunkenness that people are on. And if you sell them nationalism, you could convince them of anything. They can be the smartest and most intelligent people. They're like, yeah, America first. Dude, it was never America first. You're just a number. As long as you benefit them and they're making money off you, that's all they care about. They don't care about you as a person. Yeah. Why would they care about you?
And there's another thing I wanted to mention too. He also conveniently leaves out that all security experts in America say that the country that engages in the most amount of economic espionage against America is not Russia, it's not China,
That's true.
it's Israel. Okay,
That's
and then
crazy.
when they're asked about it, they say, "Oh, allies spy on each other all the time.
Yeah,
We
I
spy
remember that.
on this and that." Yeah, right. Imagine if you found, like for example, they're blaming China now. For TikTok, and they just recently passed the bill now that TikTok has to be either be sold or banned in America, right? Why? Because TikTok is a Chinese spying tool,
Yeah.
right? But now Israel can spy on you, but guess what? We reward them with $4 billion a year. Good job, Israel. Spy on us. Make us look dumb.
No, everybody's seeing right through it though now, Mort. Everybody knows it's
I
happening.
hope they are.
Nobody trusts anything anymore, and everybody is now like. That's why I was talking about Bassem Youssef. He's actually pretty spot on about a few things. He's been having lots of interviews. He was on the interview with that guy, that Desi dude from the UK. I forgot his name, bro. But
What channel?
I sent you the clip.
Is that LBC or what?
No, not LBC. LBC he had like yesterday.
He was on the Lex Friedman podcast.
He's on Lex Friedman
It
podcast,
was
which is a
great.
very
The
good
one he
pod-
did
that was
over
a
there. I
great
like that one.
podcast.
Did you see that one, Sim?
But
I
the
didn't see it.
dilemma is happening with Bassem Youssef now. He's blowing up real fast now, and he's
Sheikh
getting
Amr
lots of
is
attention.
afraid for his life now.
No, I'm not afraid. No,
Oh,
this sort of, no. He knows what he's getting himself into.
Make dua for him.
Yeah, may Allah give him hidayah and not allow him to be a secular anymore.
Oh, you think he's a Muslim?
No, I didn't say he's not
Oh,
Muslim. He identifies as a Muslim. He just believes in secular Islam. But anyways, that's just beside the point. He's doing some great work, right? And we should take that for what it is and give proper respect. But one thing I'm realizing about this guy, number one, he's getting lots of popularity, obviously because he's doing stand-up comedy in English. He's been on these news outlets. He's being smart about it. But one interesting thing is that he convinced the people of this, the clip that I sent you, that all of this is not worth it. And there's a whole bunch of people that are behind him on this. And it's dangerous is that everything that we're saying is we're addressing authority and power. The people will move, but authority's not going to do anything about it. They're going to continue what they have to with Israel. They're going to say that they're reprimanding Israel, but making these deals with them, obviously for optics and showing people that, hey, America's actually listening to us. But in reality, they're not going to listen. And Israel will not be reprimanded. If anything, Netanyahu will get a the Peace Prize, because if he stops now, they say, look, he stopped. So he's going to be rewarded for stopping early,
Yeah.
because of less killing that he did. But if he was to stop the war right now, he's actually going to get a Nobel Peace Prize, right? So he's like, there's no way out of this. He's like, I'm not being nihilistic, but nothing's going to happen about this. There's nothing that we can do. We can just talk about it, raise awareness. I'm a comedian. I observe things, and I just talk about the obvious, and those obvious things just happen to be really funny because it doesn't make sense. So that's why he said my comedy is based off of. But in reality, there's a lot of people that are actually not feeling that way. They're like, we're doing all this, but the government's going to make their own deals. They're going to lie to us that we're reprimanding whoever, and they're still making billions of dollars of deals. So so there's nothing that's actually going to happen anymore. We're just going to keep on complaining, but eventually that's going to stop too. And then that brings us to a standstill. What is the human race going to do now with Palestine when they all give up hope that we're just going to keep on protesting? And as believers in Tawheed, we have a different idea and agenda. But the average human being, like, what is their condition going to be? Like, how much mistrust, after all the mistrust that still exists now, in about a year from now, how much will that be exacerbated?
Ultimately, you see, on a societal level, institutions, governments are held up ultimately by the faith that people have in them. And when you're seeing the ultimate expression of faith being lost in the government in the United States, the vanguard of democracy, of individuality, etc., you're seeing people not having the ability to own anything anymore. You're effectively going down this track where no one is going to have any ability to own anything, property or anything that they can pass on to another generation. You're going to be renting to live effectively. Yeah, you may own like a computer, an Xbox or whatever, but in terms of the generational wealth, nothing wealth building, that you'll be able to pass down to your children, and that whole system is falling apart, and people are seeing it. And now with the advent of AI, and God knows how many jobs that takes away, you're going to have a large segment of the population on some form of universal basic income, because their jobs have been effectively taken away by self-driving trucks like Tesla's truck and stuff like that. And tens of millions of people in the United States have
Yeah.
have jobs that are supported by this.
You know what, Sim? I think it's funny because we talk about how Allah kind of, how he prepares the land for changes, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you have people on UBI and they're unhappy and they're miserable because you're getting your money, but there's no gratification. You're sitting around, you feel unimportant, you feel useless, you feel dependent. I mean, for some people it works, but for a lot of people who are men, that's not a good feeling to just sit at home. And what does that create? That creates a sense of resentment. They can't blame minorities. They can't blame migrants because now it's robots, right? So it builds like the sentiment of, oh, the man is trying to screw me. I don't like the way I'm living. I'm depressed. They're spending their money. What happened to the natives will happen to them, right? So I'm just spending their money on alcohol, the casino, gambling, drugs, prostitution, right? And then they're ultimately depressed. And then that brings a recipe that boils over into a rebellion.
One of our friends, he invested in a penny stock, effectively, that was about modular homes. You remember this friend, right? He's made hand over fist ridiculous amounts of money on this company that's building
Boxable,
these
yeah.
modular homes. And where's that trajectory going? You see, based on companies like this, and you're seeing like all these people who are undocumented immigrants coming into the country. You're seeing just the native population of the country not being able to afford
them. Housing prices too expensive. They can't afford.
They're just gonna buy masses of land, and they're gonna have ghettos of just these little compartmental homes that people rent out from.
One of our favorite movies, me and Sim, it's called District 9.
Yeah.
And that's like a repeat. Like they'll be completely isolated from the elites or the money makers.
Yeah.
And there'll be like large fences between them. Like, I'm talking about like, electric fences. And they'll have like helicopters that fly over, drop over aid, check on stuff. But inside it will be pretty much lawlessness.
Yeah.
Right? You guys figured it out yourself. We gave you your food, your water, you have stuff here. Here you go.
Just like we did with the Native Americans, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Just do it for yourself. We take care of it. Here's your monthly check you get every month. You can probably buy a little bit of food, a little booze, maybe bang a hooker. There you go. That's it. You're good, right? What do you need money for?
Yeah.
Everything's paid for.
Depends what type of hammer you use.
Yeah, and so the idea is the whole idea is that they're going to separate the people who are pretty much dead weight in their eyes and say, well, we can't kill you guys, but we can let you guys kill yourself. Right, have a ball, live it out, YOLO.
Have your own little police, that enforces,
which are gangs, by the way. That's just thuggery,
neighborhood
right?
watch.
Yeah, it's thuggery, right? You can have gangs that control areas.
Yeah,
and that's just what's going to happen, right? Because that's the trajectory. If you cannot give people purpose, then what is this American dream you're talking about?
Yeah.
The whole idea was that America, the place where you can make $1 from a dream, capitalism, you can blow up and you can have ownership and you can do this. And now the dream is that you live in a boxable home.
Yeah.
The
reality is, dude, look, I personally think this thing is the beginning of the end of what people had as an impression of America. This Israeli war and the Ukrainian war is going to change, I think, our history forever, to be honest with you. Just a sentiment of the people, mistrust. I think, look, people are up in arms now against everything. And before this election year, and during the elections, I think it's going to get crazy in America, bro.
So, Sheikh Amr, on that note, to call it, what do you think? Who's going to win, Joe Biden or Abu Ivanka?
Donald Trump's going to win. They're trying whatever they can to not let him win. He's gonna
okay.
win. Of course
what do you
win.
think, Sim?
No, I think unless they figure out the system figures out a way to jail Trump or something.
Yeah.
Because
they're gonna
ultimately, it's not like there's any difference between Trump or Biden. I just think that there's a. Why does this fly look me?
Because you're sweet, man. The flies
I put on the oud. I think
I have oud on too, but you're extra sweet.
My oud is better though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's from the Abu Oud. He left a whole bunch here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Biden and Trump are effectively the same, but Trump doesn't put a good face on the foreign policy and he says everything that he's thinking, right? That Americans are thinking. He says that he says it like it is, at least from.
I think Trump is great. He's like,
he's
I'm not going to
cartoonish.
risk $60 billion for one dead guy. Like, he just says it.
Did you see that one rally? They said he called him Genocide Joe.
Yeah.
He's like, they're not wrong. The crowd starts chanting
Genocide Joe.
And let me find that clip.
But it's so funny because, you know what? Here's the irony in American politics. None of those bastards screaming Genocide Joe give a crap about the Palestinians.
Yeah.
It's just an attack on Joe.
It
If
is,
you
it
ask
is.
them privately, Israel has the right to defend itself.
Yeah, I want to ask you something after this clip, Sim. Remember, I have to ask you something.
These rallies were so fun, man.
He's like, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
Schnacksville. Hey,
They're
so check
not
this
wrong.
out, Sim.
They're not
Okay, now
wrong.
look. Look, you said something interesting. Look,
Yeah.
the world thinks, Muslims think when they're voting, right? I'm not talking about the halal and haramness of voting and that whole argument right now. When they're going to vote for Trump or Genocide Joe, like, such a difficult decision. We got to vote out Genocide Joe not to show support, but Trump is an evil guy too. But you said something interesting. You said there's no difference in voting for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The optics that goes into people thinking how important their vote is. Why did you just throw a whole lota over their desires of voting out, and this whole system that they're a part of is a very intricate system that empowers them?
People have been raised to believe in our Western societies that they have control, that they have a say in the way things operate. And to a small part they do, like especially in local governments, etc. They do have a legitimate
Yes, sir.
voice or an outlet to express how they feel society should function.
Which may have some effect too.
But when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to how the government functions and how its relations are conducted with the outside world, there's very little impact, minimal impact. And Mehdi Hassan, you should see at least how the system is weighing, because the system has ways to control minorities, right? So they propel certain voices above others, like Mehdi Hassan. He's one of those voices that the system engages with because he is someone who Muslims identify with, because he shares similar faith. He's basically their interlocutor for their rights and stuff like that, and to the American government and the wider world, he's championing Muslim rights, right? So you could tell that in the most recent tweet of his. Let me pull that up. He says, all right, here we go. U.S. policy on Gaza is a moral outrage and indefensible. Biden is complicit in terrible Israeli crimes. Anyone who thinks Trump would be better or even the same needs to reckon with the fact that Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir are counting down the days to a second Trump presidency. So then he further quotes a tweet quotes Ben-Gvir. Instead of giving us his full backing, Biden is busy with humanitarian aid and fuel to Gaza, which goes to Hamas. Itamar Ben-Gvir told the Wall Street Journal in February. If Trump was in power, the U.S. would be completely different. His words, not mine. So, Itamar Ben-Gvir, whoever's in power, he's not going to be happy with. He wants the president to... He's this far-right individual in Israeli society who wants to make sure that nothing that the Americans do is enough. Nothing.
They want unconditional servitude to Israel. They want Americas to be in perpetual guilt, that there's anti-Semitism, and that whatever Americans do, it should always be Israel first. Until that's reached, and until every decision is made with Israel in the back of their head, they'll never be satisfied. They want the people, they view Americans as stupid goys that should be doing what we tell them to do. That's really the bottom line. That's the bottom line, that we should be their servants. We should bless them. Our sole existence in America is to fund Israel, because that's what God wants.
The Israeli psychology is like, okay, we're taking all the risk for you. We're the business. You know how like when a new business is formed or a new enterprise is formed, they take on a lot of risk, right? So they naturally have higher prices. They justify all their expenses, or their their the rates at which they're pricing their products at. Mm-hmm. They justify it by saying that, hey, we absorb all these risks. Similarly, Israelis are like that in their psychology. They say, we're absorbing all these risks, so we want your unequivocal support without any questions asked. So Itamar Ben-Gvir is not going to be happy with anyone. He's going to say that about Trump. He's going to say that about Biden. Now, I wonder what Mehdi Hassan has to say about after seeing that recent Trump rally that we just saw, where they're calling Joe Biden Genocide Joe. So
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, Israel wants to see a partner that's going to have show them no restraint, and fight every battle for them, and demolish the Palestinian hope of having any type of state. And they want to check all of their local neighboring countries. Everybody has to bend the knee. They see themselves as America's an extension of America out there, and they want to be respected and given the same privileges that America has in the Middle East. They see themselves as America's foot soldiers there, and so in return for that, we should be treated like you're treated in the Middle East.
Look, ultimately, if there was any kind of weight that the presidency had related to how the securement of Israel as a state, the APACs of the world, these PACs would have made sure that the right president was in charge long time ago, where everything would have been settled by now. If the presidency had that kind of an impact, where decisions were made so that Israel will function and have security and be established and will be guaranteed in every sense of the word, that would have happened a long time ago, and the Palestinians would have been expelled from their land, and all that would have been put to bed. But the presidency does not have that kind of effect,
and it can happen because it's not a dictatorship.
The
right?
reason,
for
why,
example, in Saudi Arabia, there's no lobbies, right? Why? Because they don't need to lobby Saudis. They don't need to lobby the King of Jordan. They don't need to lobby politicians in the UAE, right? They don't need to do that. They just make their deals with the king, and that's it. But America is not a dictator. There's elements and factions of the government they have to persuade. And at any given moment, they're all for sale. So the next highest bidder can come and manipulate them, right? And so Israel has to constantly spend money, invest, blackmail, all kinds of stuff in order to make sure that they vote for their interest in Congress, along with the president. President sets the tone, Congress gets the job done.
Joe Biden is a recipient of, I want to say, $17 million of APAC aid over his career. $17 million.
Wait,
Joe Biden. So
I thought you said Mehdi Hassan got.
Joe Biden, wow.
Well, what? So when you think about that money is going to go towards him saying the right thing in Israel's case all the time, right? I ultimately, people will ask, well, naturally, how do you feel about the abandoned Biden campaign? I support it, not in the sense that it's going to actually change anything in terms of U.S. policy, but it just shows your support or your
show of strength.
It's a show of strength, a show of resistance to American policy, to show that at least Biden felt the consequence. You know, because ultimately politicians are still individuals, even though they're acting on behalf of a state.
Yeah.
You will have to feel the wrath in some way. Maybe
Yeah, they still have individual ambition. They still have, desire to leave legacies. They still have all these things, right?
Now his legacy is his genocide.
Yeah.
so. Do we have any other things that we want to talk about?
I just find it funny. I was just thinking about this. I find it funny how there was a viral clip of the King of Jordan, like training around and doing all this stuff, and then at the same time, the next day, he's shooting down rockets to protect Israel. Like, so were you training to shoot down rockets? Like, what were you doing?
He's trying to act like Putin, bro. He's trying to
Yeah,
put
it's
out this
funny,
whole
man.
macho
Yeah.
aura of him. Now he's trying to become a hero.
I think he just passed time doing it. Like, it's just fun for him to go out and shooting things, right? But I just thought it was funny, right? Like, it was just humorous. And I can't help this. It's just sad because
He's
a
about
lot
to
of
laugh
times
about it. He's
when I
laughing
see
about
these Arab leaders, I can't help but think the movie Dictator. It's so goofy and like dumb.
Exactly
Like
what it
it's
is,
just
bro.
like unbelievably unintelligent and like almost like I don't want to say unintelligent, like unintelligent and naive and like narcissistic, right? Oh, look at me, I'm dressed in a military, I'm gonna have you're bigger than you actually are. Like, you don't mean anything. Like, who cares if you put on a bulletproof vest and went out and did a couple of drills, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, go do it for real then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see this guy? Sheikh, did you see
Oh,
this?
yes. Morty.
Oh, yes. I love
الإخاء عاشوا على هدي النبي يرجون رحمن السماء يا إخوتي ماذا نقول.
So what's happening here?
So, okay, pause it. So this guy, this drunk dude who's a bodybuilder or whatever, he was making Islamophobic comments towards Muslim sisters. This Muslim brother saw that in the street.
In the sweatshirt.
Yeah. The Muslim brother in the sweatshirt said, I ain't having it. So the guy wanted to put hands up. So this is a recording of the confrontation between them two.
I like the nasheed in the background.
جلب البكاء لصحبة أهل المحبة والإخاء عاشوا على هدي النبي يرجون رحمن السماء
Night.
يرجون جنة ربهم يوم القيامة والجزاء يوم رهيب قاتل في لحظة حق اللقاء ترى وجوها كالحات ترى وجوها ناعمات يا إخوتي ماذا نقول.
Sheikh, why don't you have a background in jiu-jitsu? Why don't you talk about what he just did?
Actually, I didn't see everything very clearly.
Basically, he
You
just
said
put him in a
GT?
rear naked choke, bro, after a while, and he put him to sleep. And then what they're showing the hadith is because he could have easily started smashing him while he's dead.
Yeah,
right?
no, the cool thing is they helped him back up after all.
Yeah, and then he lifts his legs up, right? He and then he. I think that
The picture quality is a little
in the longer video, there's a clip of him like actually talking to the guy. So
Yeah, I can't see the fine detail of what's happening, but I can see him lifting his legs.
look
and
at him
stuff
trying to
and
get him
getting
back up.
oxygen back up.
Yeah.
I would have tied his shoelaces together.
I saw that. Imagine that guy. He's got your butt whooped. Play the audio.
Oh, I didn't hear the audio.
Yeah, play the audio.
yourself. No, sit down.
Wait, let's see.
النبي يرجون رحمن السماء.
See you, people like you, bro. You need to behave yourself. No, sit down. Sit down. No. What do you say about Muslims now?
I respect them.
You respect them now, yeah? Yeah. Behave yourself. Don't do that. And you're saying you're from Acton, yeah?
Yeah.
Listen, you need to stop that attitude. Yeah?
What the fuck happened?
Yeah, you got put to bed. That's what happened.
Wow, you nearly killed me.
Yeah.
He looks so like man, getting your butt whooped. He's like, what happened, bro? Oh my god! But I mean, but that shows the rahma, right? Like, had that been reversed,
Look at that.
this
cute
guy
face.
probably. They should make a meme out of that. What the f happened? You nearly killed me.
Wait, what happens for the? I didn't watch the rest of it.
I think he gets in the ambulance and he goes. Yeah, but I like the fact they put that hadith because it's representative of how Muslims actually behave.
I wasn't able to
right?
read the hadith. What
So
was that?
basically, show mercy if you want mercy to be extended to you, right?
got it.
The hadith, but like he could have easily, once the guy's passed out, he could have easily Yeah, he who does not show mercy will not be shown mercy,
I
right?
see.
But when that guy went to sleep, he could have easily bashed his face
Oh,
in.
yeah, yeah. People do
you
that
know,
all the
all
time.
kinds of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
right? Humiliated him, made fun of him more. But he took care because you don't go beyond the bounds, right? He neutralized the situation. He made sure the sisters were no longer harmed. He taught him his lesson. And then he goes on his way. He reminds him, and that's going to have an impact on this guy. If he beat that guy while he was, while he was out, oh, that coward, he did that to me, blah, blah, look how scummy Muslims are. But now that's going to make him think, like, yeah, I respect him now, right? He could have harmed me while I was passed out cold. Literally molested me if he wanted to, right? And
linguistically, not real.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Manhandled him. But he didn't do it, right? And that's the character of a Muslim, right? Like, he didn't go out, like, when we neutralize the threat, after that, we keep it moving. You get the justice in, and that's what it is. So he learned his lesson. I don't think he'll be opening his mouth anymore.
I mean,
yeah,
it was great.
Any thoughts on UFC 300? It was an exciting match.
That was
we
a
saw it
packed
together.
card. That was a packed
I'm
card,
still like
hats off to Max Holloway.
Max Holloway was
that
amazing.
ending was insane, bro.
Prochaska was a great fight too.
They're all great fights, man.
I told you this was the best stack card I saw.
Oliveira. Reach out up.
Pereira.
Did you guys end up
Pereira.
watching the Cody Garbrandt fight?
I
That
did
was
not.
a good fight. Watch
Oh,
it.
Alex Pereira, bro.
Alex Pereira,
I still like shudder when he just said, "Hang on, I got this." It starts off with a low blow, and he tells the referee, "No,
I got this.
I got this."
Don't worry
You
about
know
my
what he
nuts.
does? We didn't see this in the replays when after the fight.
Oh.
He actually held his foot down when he went in for the kill.
He stepped on his foot, yeah.
He held his foot down, so he steps on his foot with his foot, so that he couldn't back away more. And then he goes in for the kill.
Is that one of his weird secrets?
That's a multi.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So he can't move his foot
Step
back.
on his foot, and then
Yeah.
he did that little uppercut thing.
Yeah.
But it was just crazy. Like, don't worry, man. I got balls of steel. And just boom.
No, it's not, bro. It's not only that. That's true. Thank you for that.
Bro, I mean, the
Appreciate
guy
it.
got hit in the nuts. He's like, hey, don't worry about it.
He's wearing a cup. Yeah, no. So he's got cups of steel. But so check this out.
Still hurts, bro.
It does. So, but the one thing I was telling you guys is Pereira is one of the most special fighters ever because the amount of energy and force he generates without taking a full swing. Dude, he took like maybe a fourth of a swing when he knocked him out. It's not the first time he did that either.
When I think
he barely moves his arm, but it's what Sim was saying that one night. It's like everything moves in unison together to generate that force. Plus, he's got some natural.
When I
strength that most people
see
don't have.
him and do that kind of stuff, I think of Bruce Lee's like one inch punch.
1 inch, yeah.
Right? It's just the force generated. Like it's like a little boop.
Yeah,
like
with the moving of the whole body.
It's a cute thing, right? It's
But
like,
he wants to move up to heavyweight. He's like he wants to take a heavyweight fight.
I mean,
Now,
look.
he's gonna make money, but if he goes against John Jones, he's getting annihilated, bro.
I think John Jones will take him, but it depends because I think that there could be a potential for a good fight.
No way.
No,
No, I think there could be.
You
I
think
think
it'd be a
it's
good fight?
Yeah.
not
for
like
sure.
he's gonna win it, but I think it could be a good fight. I mean, look, I certainly think he'll do a better job than Glover Teixeira against John Jones. We could see a potential Gustafsson and Jones like kind of scenario.
I think.
No, dude, his grappling is
think
way off than John Jones, bro. John Jones' grappling is way too good.
Hey, he
You
got
know
a
the
black
ultimate
belt,
test
okay?
before.
Oh, but he might not. John Jones might not even return anymore, right?
Yo, he's done, bro.
No,
Dude, he assaulted the drug tester.
No. But he released footage. He released footage that it was not like that at all.
Really?
You saw that there.
Stop justifying the crimes.
He literally hugged her. She leans in for a hug before leaving the place. Like there was no malice. She showed on security cameras on Twitter that there was no altercation that she's talking about later. That she ends up calling the cops.
But how do you know he didn't lean in and say those bad words in her ear?
I don't know, bro. I'm just telling you what.
Like he
what
probably
I
grabbed
saw.
it like, I'll kill you, BS, or something like that, And like, how do you know?
Ward is becoming unhinged.
Well, Dana White's defending him, so
Okay.
Well, Dana White defends Trump too. I'm just kidding. Listen, if John Jones comes back, to be honest, for me, I don't care about any of that stuff. You're a fighter. Look, these guys, you're expecting these people to be normal. They're fighters. They fight for a living,
crazy,
right?
yeah.
They're a little cuckoo in the head, right? Hey, pass the drug test. If you can come in, let them fight, dude. A lot of these guys are not right in the head. I mean, look at, what's his name? Oh, man, this new champion we have here, the white dude. What's his name?
Champion white dude.
No, man.
What weight class?
Oh, my God. Middle heavyweight, dude. No, lightweight, I'm sorry. Middleweight, I'm sorry. Oh, man, dude. The crazy guy, dude. American dude. What's his name?
Oh, Strickland?
Strickland, right? Yeah, Sean Strickland, right? He's unhinged, bro. Like, he just says anything and everything, right? And they let him fight. Dude, these guys are not normal. Like they're not like they after getting hit in the head a few times. Like you like to enjoy getting pain like that and fighting and walking in there and dealing with all the anxiety. Like we know there's the little things off with them.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you expect him to be a goody good two shoe. He's not that guy. He's in the fighting business for a reason, right? So I think they're just doing it to appease the Nevada State Commission, all these things, right? They have to keep above water, but I think if Jana should just, even if he is guilty, find a way to get him to fight, and then it happened, dude.
You know what would be a better fight? Well, not better, but a more challenging fight for Pereira. Magomed Ankalaev.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good fight.
That would be a good fight.
It's a good fight, but
on the feet,
because he hasn't been tested against one of the caucus types.
Yeah.
The caucus fighters.
That's true.
He hasn't been tested against that style of fighting.
Who's better than Ankalaev? Because the thing is that he would, I think.
No, in that division, as far as caucus, Ankalaev is probably the one. There was that guy Shamil, but he was not that great. He didn't do too well. I think in that weight division, Ankalaev is probably the threat out of the Caucasus.
Ankalaev has a problem staying healthy, though, right?
He has some knee things, but they were not like an ongoing thing. I think it happened during that fight against Jan Blachowicz, whatever. Yeah, Jan, right? Jan. He was hitting on those knees, but I mean, he's still able to get the job done. Oh, well, I mean, I think he did. They gave him a draw, but I think he won the fight.
When did he fight last?
Poor Alistair Overeem is gone forever.
Huh?
Alistair Overeem.
Wasn't he old?
He's done. He's retired.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, he's out. He's not fighting no more.
Yeah. He's trying to get some.
Or Cyril Gaines, maybe.
Cyril Gaines, yeah, he's
I mean, dude, like how quickly John Jones dealt with him, and it was like a little tuck. It wasn't even like he had a real under his whole forearm under his chin.
That heavyweight
he cranked
Jones
him.
is scary.
I get it, but I mean,
dude, after that fight, Khabib said to Cyril Gaines, "Come to the." Come to Dagestan and he'll train him.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
No, because to be honest,
in 2 years you'll be the champion.
No, because to be honest, listen. In my opinion, Cyril Gaines has never had someone be able to put hands on him like that in a grappling form, and he panicked more than anything. That wasn't something he couldn't have came out of. It wasn't like John Jones was super tight on his grip. No way, right? He panicked, and that's what happened. Inexperience, right? But I'm saying that Cyril Gaines and Alex Pereira will be a straight up more of a boxing match, right? It's more suitable for his fight level, like his fighting style.
Ankalaev hasn't lost since 2018.
Wow.
2018. So yeah, next level, bro. He would be a definite challenger.
Yeah,
he should be a challenger. He won the last fight against Johnny Walker.
Yeah,
I remember that
in January.
That Brazilian guy, right? What a weird name, Johnny Walker, right? That's a crazy guy. He's a good fighter though. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, it was a great UFC. I enjoyed it. I feel like everything else can be boring after this.
300,
yeah. Even the women fight. I don't know why, but they look like little boys to me. So that one was a great fight.
Mort.
What?
Stop it, bro.
They did. They look like little boys to me. So it was like a boys fight. All right, cool. But that was a great fight too. Great card.
All right. Guys, that's our show for this evening. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the show if you haven't done so already. Throw a comment in the comment section below with your thoughts related to the show. Hope you enjoyed this extra long episode we did.
Post Ramadan.
Yeah, we ordered him another show because we weren't back on time.
Inshallah, next Saturday we should be having a decent show.
Oh yeah, we got a pretty fun
and plus,
show.
Yaqub, our brother, is going to be coming in
He's
town.
coming in May.
Yeah, inshallah.
Yeah, we got some.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here for that show.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, because that week I come out. Remember I told you?
It's okay.
Sorry.
Allah yarhamuhu.
I mean, yarhamuhu.
Huh?
He said Allah yarhamuhu.
Oh,
for you.
Thank you for your kind words.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Assalamu alaikum.